everything works well for everybody. Um, Please like and subscribe. Things are looking better, but I still need you guys to help me. Like and subscribe, and if you write comments, I'll answer. But anyway, here is the president. He's coming into the room, so we're going to go ahead and start. Oh boy, we will pause. Stop. Where am I? Where is mine? What has just happened? Something just happened. Okay, there it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and start.
Ánimo.
Okay.
Bueno, pues estamos comenzando con unos
So I don't
minutos
like the sound
tarde,
right now in my
pero
ear. Sorry, I'm
eh,
adjusting now.
vamos a
I think
dedicar
this one here is better.
toda la eh,
Yes, the other
sesión,
one is not
todo el
working, so
encuentro,
then why bother
todo
putting that in?
diálogo, toda esta
And I'm going to
conferencia
put my other
a contestar
one in so I can hear if
preguntas.
my phone rings and it won't bother
Bueno,
you. Okay. So I'm
empezamos.
going to restart that. I'm sorry because I missed most of it. Okay, right about there. Okay, so he's coming in and I'm sorry, I had to set my audio settings. Here he comes. Hello,
Ánimo.
and
Bueno,
cheer up.
pues
So today
estamos comenzando
we're
con unos
beginning
minutos
in a few minutes.
tarde,
We're starting a few minutes late,
eh,
but
vamos a dedicar
we're going
toda
to
la
dedicate
eh, sesión,
the whole session,
todo el encuentro,
the
todo
whole
este
meeting,
diálogo, toda esta
this
conferencia
dialogue and
a
conference
contestar
to answering
preguntas.
any questions.
¿Cómo ven?
How do you like that?
Empezamos.
So we'll start here.
Buenos días, señor presidente. Carlos Montesinos de la Hoguera.
Hello, Mr.
Saber
President.
si ya tiene información, ya le pasaron el informe completo de la venta del avión presidencial.
Oh,
Si
they want to
ya
know
tiene la lista
what
completa de
if you
compradores,
found
todo
out
eso, ¿me
about
podría hacer saber?
the presidential
segundo,
airplane.
lo
Does he have the
respecto- lo que
information
declaró
as
la
to the
semana
price and all
pasada
that?
el secretario Javier Jiménez Espriu sobre que la venta del avión apenas iba a alcanzar para subsanar todo el costo de la misma aeronave y que no iba a haber muchos más recursos para otras áreas.
And somebody said that there wasn't going to be enough resources
Ya
after the sale.
está en
He says, yes,
proceso de venta el avión presidencial.
the president's airplane
Se
is
ha
in the
dicho,
process of being sold, as they have
Ya
said,
está en la
we've
fase
said.
final.
It's already in the final phase.
Presentaron 6
They presented 6
propuestas
offers,
y la ONU
and ONO,
que nos está acompañando
that company,
en este proceso de
in this
venta
process of
presidencial,
sale for the presidential
Está
airplane,
decidiendo
is
sobre la
deciding.
mejor oferta. Yo espero que
I expect
se sepa
that it will be
lo más
the
pronto
most,
posible.
the
Incluso
quickest
esperaría que en esta semana
possible.
se
Most likely this
resolviera,
week,
según me han informado.
as they've they've informed
se
me.
puede porque es un proceso de
But we
licitación.
cannot because it's
Dar
a,
conocer
we can't let you know because it's still soliciting process.
sobre
Details
los montos
regarding the costs
se están ofreciendo
or what they're
inclusive,
offering. Inclusively,
ni siquiera dar a conocer
we can't even let you know
el avalúo
what the value is
antes de llevar a cabo
before we finish
la licitación.
the sale process.
Avalúos
We did some evaluations of value,
avalúos
so we had
para que
some
se
tests to see
de referencia
what it was the value, so they could use as a reference,
aceptaran propuestas.
and so they could accept
Entonces, ya se
offers.
tienen los avalúos,
So now we have those
ya están
values,
las propuestas.
and now we have the offers.
Falta
And so now we need to decide
todo esto,
all
una vez
this.
que se pueda
It means that
dar
we
a
can
conocer
let people know
conformidad con el procedimiento,
when the process is
vamos
done.
a informar
And we
al pueblo
will
de México.
inform you for,
Aquí.
to the people of Mexico here.
Si ya mañana la ONU
And if
decide
tomorrow ONU decides
una buena oferta
that there's a good offer
y que se acepta
and that they accept it,
porque se hacen investigaciones
because they've been doing
sobre los
investigations
compradores,
regarding the buyers
sobre
and whether
pues, la honorabilidad
their honorability
de las personas,
or the honor of
de
the
las
people
empresas
and of the companies
que quieren adquirir el avión.
that want to acquire the airplane.
No es así un asunto
It's not
tan simple.
a simple matter.
Entonces, una vez que tengamos ya
So once we have all
se
of
informa.
these,
Pero sí,
we'll
ya
give you
estamos
the
en la
information.
fase
But
final.
yes, we are in the final
Eh,
phase of the
Acerca de lo que
airplane
se
sale.
va a obtener,
And
pues
regarding
es
what
una
we're going to
cantidad
obtain,
importante.
it's
Y
a
sobre todo,
substantial amount
se liquida
because we're also
un crédito,
liquidating a credit
porque fue un
because
financiamiento
it was a financing
y había
fund
que estar pagando y
and
pagando
we were paying and paying on it
año con año
year by year
por ese avión y por otros.
for that airplane and for others.
En el sexenio pasado
In the last 6 years, or the last presidential term,
se compraron seis aviones,
they bought
jets
6 jets,
nuevos,
brand new,
además del presidencial,
besides the presidential jet,
y
and
6 helicópteros también.
6 helicopters also
Entonces,
that
todo
were
eso
new.
está
So
en venta.
all of that is for
Son
sale.
alrededor de 73
It's around
aeronaves,
73
aviones y helicópteros.
crafts.
¿Se acuerdan que
You recall,
usaban los helicópteros hasta para ir a jugar golf?
they used to use the helicopters even to go play golf.
¿Sí se acuerdan de eso?
Do you remember that?
Pues ya,
But now
todo eso no existe,
that doesn't exist anymore.
no se aplica,
We don't apply it
ya
anymore.
no se usan.
We don't use it
Los
anymore.
privados, helicópteros privados.
These
Entonces, sí
private
van a quedar recursos.
air.
El hecho de no tener que estar pagando.
So it'll give us finances because we don't have to be paying those credits, and it's a sale. And that's the presidential
Para
airplane.
refrescar la memoria,
To remind you,
lo compró
he
Calderón
it was bought by Calderón
cuando deciden que Peña iba a gobernar.
when they decided that Peña was going to govern
Presidente electo.
as the
En
president-elect.
ese periodo
During that period
de presidente electo,
of the president-elect,
Calderón compra el avión,
Calderón bought the airplane
firman el contrato,
and he signed on the contract.
o sea, le dejó comprado el avión a Peña.
So he left the
Claro que
airplane
Presidente
bought
Peña
by
debió
Peña. And of course,
rechazar esa compra,
he should have
no aceptarlo,
not accepted that purchase.
pero
But
decidió quedarse
he decided
el avión.
to keep the airplane.
Yo no iba a subirme a un avión así
I wasn't going to get in an airplane like that because
al pueblo de México.
I wouldn't want to offend the people of
Tanta
Mexico,
pobreza,
that they are in such
tanta
poverty
necesidad,
and such need.
no se puede.
You can't
Viajar
do
en un
that.
avión de lujo,
Be traveling in such a luxurious airplane that even Donald Trump doesn't have.
decía Díaz Mirón.
Diaz Mirón
Nadie
used to
puede
say,
aspirar a lo superfluo
nobody can aspire to the
que exista,
superfluous while there exists those
hasta de lo más
that
indispensable.
need even the most indispensable things.
Entonces, son los cambios.
So these are the changes.
La otra,
And what's the other question?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was it. Okay. So next person.
no,
Nada, nada.
no puede haber pérdida porque es pérdida.
So, the question was, is there a loss?
Estar pagando
it's a loss
esos
to be
créditos
paying those
y
credits.
toda la operación de ese
And
avión
that whole operation of that airplane,
que ya no tenemos
that we no longer have
esos gastos.
those expenses.
Ya es otra cosa.
That's another
Es lo que
thing.
podamos pagar
So
en los boletos de avión,
what we would pay in,
viajes comerciales,
for commercial trips and airplanes,
la gasolina de las
The-
camionetas,
the gas for the
las giras,
trucks and the,
o lo que gaste de gasolina
or what
el
we
Jetta.
spend on gas on the jet, comparing those.
Buenos días, presidente. Shaila Rosagel, corresponsal del Grupo Gili, El Imparcial, La Crónica y Frontera de Tijuana. Presidente, no nos quedó claro
It's
ayer
not clear
cuándo se
yesterday
van a definir los
when
recursos en
they're going to
específico para la
define
frontera norte. En especial,
specific north
cuánto va a corresponder para
border
Baja California y para Sonora para atender esta crisis migratoria que hay en la
to
frontera
attend
norte.
to the
Y también
migratory
preguntarle,
crisis,
en junio y
and
julio
also
se
to ask
reportaron
you
los
in June and
homicidios en
July.
Tijuana.
There was a lot of homicides in
Junio
Tijuana,
fueron 215,
215 in June,
125 en julio,
125 in
hasta el
July,
15 de
up
julio.
until the 15th.
Entonces, ¿cuál será la solución?
So
Dado
what
que
is
la
the
estrategia
solution?
conjunta pues pareciera que no está funcionando? O sea,
It
¿qué
seems that
solución se va
are they working on another
para
solution
Tijuana? Gracias.
for
Hay
Tijuana?
recursos suficientes
Yes, there are
para
enough resources
albergues y
for
la
shelters,
atención
for
a
attention
migrantes.
to the immigrants.
Cuando se creó
When we created
el equipo
the team
para cumplir los compromisos que se hicieron con el gobierno de Estados Unidos
to comply with the
y evitar que nos
U.S.
aplicaran aranceles,
Tariff
se
threat
integró un
and
equipo
all
que
that plan,
coordina Marcelo Ebrard,
and that thing that Marcelo Ebrard, he made a plan.
4 áreas
It has 4 areas,
o 5.
or 5.
Tiene migración,
Migration,
ese es uno.
that's one.
Tiene
It also has
lo que es
what is called
bienestar y
well-being
seguridad
and
para el sur
life
sureste,
saving for the South and Southeast.
coordina Javier May. Tiene el área
It also has the area of
frontera norte,
northern
que está a cargo de
border,
Horacio Duarte.
which is Duarte is in charge of.
Otra área
Another area
que
is
es la de Guardia Nacional
the National Guard,
y una más
and another
que es la de relaciones
is that of
exteriores
foreign relations
países
with countries
centroamericanos. La
in
atención
Central America,
a la relación con los países
the relationship with
centroamericanos.
those Central American
5 áreas.
countries.
Y se
And-
incluyó un
and
área
it
administrativa
Included an administrative
con ese propósito.
purpose.
Voy a pedir que les
So-
informen
So I'm going to ask that they inform you
tiene esta área
how much is in that area
para atender a migrantes.
in order to attend to the migrants.
Dato.
We don't have the data.
Es que sí, en efecto,
So in effect, though,
en Tijuana,
in Tijuana,
que no es todo Baja California,
that is not all of Baja California.
se ve de violencia lo tenemos más.
The biggest problem of violence is concentrated in Tijuana.
Se llevó a cabo una
And
acción
an action was done.
porque
Uh,
llegamos a tener hasta 20 homicidios diarios.
We were having about 20 homicides a day in Tijuana
Y
at the
bajamos,
worst case. And it came down.
¿sí? Y sí hubo un repunte.
And there was a high
Bajamos
point.
la incidencia,
And
y
then
lo que
the
dices,
low point and the crisis.
había un repunte.
And then it peaked
Hoy,
again. And now
Por
again,
ejemplo,
for example,
puedo decir que el
I
informe que
can
tengo
say
de
that the
Tijuana es que ayer
information,
se registraron 2.
yesterday they only had 2 in Tijuana, is my current report.
Pero
However,
eran más.
there used to be so many more
Entonces, todos los
in the
días
median.
estamos viendo esto,
So every day we're
Y
looking at
espero
this, and I
que vamos a
expect that
desplegar
we will
más
be
elementos porque
sending more
la
National Guard elements.
Atención, la
For the
Guardia Nacional
attention
depende mucho
of the National Guard
del número
depends
de
a
elementos.
lot
Entonces estamos
on the number of elements.
convocando,
So we're
reclutando, capacitando elementos
getting people trained
para tener más presencia.
so they can
Esto
have
no
more
va a ayudar.
presence.
Pero sí
But yes,
estamos
we are
constantemente viendo
constantly monitoring where
hay más incidencia
there's more incidences of that type of
Les puedo decir
activity.
que hay
But I can say that
10 estados
there's 10 states
que son los que nos
that are
alteran
the worst, most
del
active,
promedio
that they
de homicidios,
mess with our median of
entre
homicides
otros delitos.
besides other crimes.
10.
There's 10.
Hoy, por ejemplo, el reporte,
Today in the report, for example,
ayer hubieron 68 homicidios.
yesterday they had 68 homicides.
Bajó
And it lowered
ayer
yesterday
porque bajaron los homicidios
because
en esos
um,
estados.
the homicides were dropped in those
Es
states.
decir,
So,
algunos,
so I can say that some
Guanajuato,
in Guanajuato,
Jalisco,
Jalisco,
Baja California,
Baja California,
Estado de México,
State of Mexico,
Veracruz,
Veracruz,
hasta ahí me quedo,
and I'll stop there
para no
so that I don't
estar inventando.
invent things.
Pero
However,
si se tienen 68
if there's 68
en un estado,
in one state and in
se
one
cometen
station
10,
they have 10,
hay veces
then
en
sometimes
las 32 entidades,
the 32 entities,
en la mitad no hay homicidios,
and in half of them there's no homicides.
o sea, en 16.
So 16 may not have any homicides.
No siempre,
Not always,
pero se da.
but it does happen now.
Entonces, sí tiene mucho que ver
So it does have a lot to do with
el llamado crimen organizado.
the so-called organized
En
crime.
el caso de homicidios,
In the case of homicides,
puedo decir
I can say
así como
that just as we have not been able to lower the incidence
homicidios,
of homicides,
sí,
Yes.
hemos bajado considerablemente.
it has lowered considerably the
Pero
theft,
sí, ha habido una disminución. Que son los dos delitos
which were the biggest
que nos
crimes,
sirven más para saber
that
cómo vamos.
were the biggest gauge so we can know how
En
we're
esos
doing.
delitos no hay
Because in
cifra
those
negra.
crimes, there's no,
El delito de robo,
like where people change the
castración,
numbers,
robo en transporte,
like transportation,
secuestro,
kidnapping.
muchas veces no se denuncia.
Sometimes they don't say,
Pero en el caso de homicidio,
but in the case of homicides or vehicle
se denuncia
thefts, they always,
pues todo. En
everything.
el caso de homicidio hay que
Like in the
hay que
case of
investigación.
homicide, they have to do an investigation. So they can't hide anything.
Entonces eso es lo que está pasando.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Hubo ese repunte y estamos ya atendiendo.
Para precisar, de enviarse más elementos de la Guardia Nacional para Tijuana,
what about the
¿qué
National
fecha
Guard in
sería? ¿Qué fecha
Tijuana?
lo están previendo
When do
de
they
su gabinete de
expect
seguridad?
from the
¿Cuántos
Cabinet
más
of
elementos
Safety?
de los que ya
Les vamos a informar
And when
de
is there going to be
acuerdo
more
a
elements?
cómo se vayan
It's going to be
capacitando, formando
depending as
los
how
nuevos
they're
elementos.
getting
Tenemos
capacitated or trained. So as of now,
abierta la capacitación.
we've got
Le voy
the
a pedir
capacitation.
al comandante de la
I'm
Guardia
going to ask the
Nacional que les
commander
informe
of the National Guard to
Que
inform
venga
you on that. I'll ask-
acompañado del secretario de la Defensa,
I'll have him come with the Secretary of Defense
secretario
and
de Seguridad
Marine
Pública,
and the Secretary
y
of
que
Public
les
Health,
den un informe
and so they can inform you
sobre cómo vamos,
as to how we are doing,
en dónde están
where we are,
y cuántos elementos
and how many
se tienen,
elements
y
or-
cuántos se están formando,
and
en
how
dónde
many
se
are
están
being
formando,
formed,
en qué consisten los
and
cursos
what
de
the
formación
courses are consisting
cómo va a
of
ir creciendo
information and how
en el
it's
tiempo
growing,
el número de elementos
the number
para
of
que
units,
se tenga esta información que es
so that
importante.
you can have the information. And by units, they mean like number of soldiers, like a soldier unit.
California, en México. Presidente, a la fecha Romero de Champs sigue siendo el líder sindical de Pemex con un gremio de 110,000 trabajadores en activo. También sigue manejando 65 millones de pesos por viáticos, sueldos, fondos de ahorro,
So they're saying this
prerrogativas,
guy Champ
transportación terrestre
is
y
still in
aérea,
charge of a lot of
según
the
los
areas of
artículos
Pemex.
185 y 251 del contrato colectivo de trabajo de ese sindicato. En ese sentido, presidente, la actual secretaria de Trabajo y Previsión Social, Luisa María Alcalde, pareciera entorpecer al nuevo sindicalismo de la 4T,
So they think there's some
pues no ha
kind of
ejecutado la toma de nota
intrepidation
del
with
nuevo
the
líder
new leader.
sindical de Pemex llamado Mario Rubiciel Ros García, por cierto, su paisano.
He's from
Porque
Tabasco
aunque no hay
also, Mario
nepotismo,
Rubencel Garcia.
el padre de la secretaria,
He's the
Arturo Alcalde
father.
Justiniano, curiosamente también es el abogado personal de
So,
Romero de Chan desde
There's an attorney that
1993.
is also
Su gobierno está en
covering
disposición
two people.
para que lleguen nuevos líderes sindicales
So
y de
we
esta
have-
forma terminar con los viejos líderes
So they're
chavos
trying to get rid of
durante
the
40 años
previous
pues también empobrecieron
bad
al país
leaders,
junto
and
con
they
el
were
proyecto
impoverishing
del
the country.
neoliberalismo. ¿Cómo va a
How are
trabajar
you-
su gobierno con
How's your
las
government gonna
empresas?
work?
Pues hay que decirlo, presidente, son lacras que siguen
Those
viviendo
are-
del erario del país.
The people that are still
Mire.
living off the people,
A reserva de
leeches.
comprobar,
So it would have to be something that was proven,
yo no
because
tengo así toda la
I don't have
información.
all that
No soy
information.
todólogo,
I'm,
sábelo todo.
I don't, I'm not a know-it-all,
Pero creo que no es abogado
but I don't believe he's an
Arturo
attorney,
Alcalde,
Arturo Alcalde,
de Romero de Chavos.
de Romero de
No vaya a
Chavos.
pasar lo que dije ayer. de
I don't want it to turn out that yesterday I said there was no contract and there was no demand on somebody, and in fact there was
Mex,
from Mex,
Dinal,
But,
sí
you know,
había.
and yes, there was in case. So he made an
No
error.
hay, es una denuncia en contra de Salinas Pliego, pero sí había.
What there is not is one for against Salinas, but there is one against that other guy.
Pero a reserva de ver este asunto.
So let's set it aside till we can be sure the details. I don't believe that it was stolen.
Lo que sí les puedo decir
What I can
es que
tell
ya
you
no
is that no more,
se permiten privilegios
we don't allow privileges
para
anymore
nadie.
for no one.
Se acabó
That has ended,
la impunidad.
this impunity.
Existen
There do exist
contratos
contracts
que se tienen que respetar.
that need to be respected.
Todo lo que por ley
Everything that by law
le corresponde
belongs
a los trabajadores,
to the workers,
eso se tiene que respetar. Los
that
contratos son
needs to be
sagrados, más
respected.
cuando trata
Contracts are sacred, especially
contratos
when it
con
deals with
trabajadores.
contracts with workers.
Lo que no va a haber
What there will not be
son acuerdos,
are agreements,
vamos a decir,
let's say,
extralegales
externally from the law
debajo de la mesa.
or under the table.
No se va a entregar dinero
We will not give money
a líderes sindicales.
to syndicate leaders.
Actualmente se está haciendo
Actually,
la
we're
revisión del contrato colectivo.
making a revision of the collective contract of Pemex with the union,
La indicación
sindicato. And the indication is that,
al director de Pemex
the director of
es que
Pemex,
se ajusten
it was what they said was that they adjust it to the legal.
ningún
There should not be
privilegio
any privileges
para
for any
dirigentes.
directors.
Y
And
actuar
act
con austeridad y
with
justicia.
austerity and justice.
Por ejemplo,
For example,
y esto aplica para todos,
and this applies to all,
el número de comisionados
the number of commissioned
no puede ser
cannot be greater,
que haya 1,000, 2,000
that there be
comisionados.
1,000 to 2,000 commissioned people. In other words, the leaders,
Lo de viáticos
like the aviators that you mentioned,
para dirigentes.
for directors.
No puede haber tanto dinero.
You
en eso.
can't put so much money into that.
Entonces, ya el director de Pemex sabe.
So the director of Pemex already has been notified and is aware.
No va a ser igual que antes.
It will not be the same as before.
Eso es lo que puedo decir.
That's what I can tell you.
Toma de nota de varios líderes que han sido ya
What about,
No tiene por
there's
qué,
been several leaders that have
impedirse
already,
la
oh,
toma de nota.
so they should not be
no lo ha hecho el
preventing the
secretario,
taking
yo
of
solamente
notes.
conozco ese líder, hay otros más.
En
But
todos
not
los
just
casos
that
lo
leader,
tiene que
there's
hacer.
others also. He says in all cases.
Yo ahora sí que tomo nota
I can make note, or I am taking note,
y le voy a pedir
and I will
que
ask
me informe.
that he inform me.
Porque hay el derecho,
Because there is the right.
no es un asunto ilegal.
It's not an illegal right thing,
Libertad
but they do have liberties
de asociación.
for
y libertad
association
sindical.
and syndical or union
La
rights.
siguiente pregunta, presidente.
Next
Dentro del sistema
question.
penitenciario en México se gastan 1.800 millones de pesos al año. Es decir,
They're
5
spending-
millones de pesos diarios solo en cárceles federales.
In
sin
the
contar-
prison
sin contar
system,
las
we're
estatales.
spending
¿Cuál
5
es su plan de
million
gobierno
pesos
para
daily.
erradicar la corrupción en esos centros penitenciarios que se generan entre jueces, abogados independientes y bufetes jurídicos encabezados por políticos, algunos? Y si dentro de las cárceles llevaría también la cartilla moral, porque cuando los reclusos salen de las cárceles vuelven a delinquir, incluso vuelven a regresar pues a esos lugares donde permanecen años.
Pero lo mejor es la aplicación de los
The best thing is to
programas de
apply the
adaptación,
programs for adaptation,
y eso pues
and
pasa
that happens
por limpiar de corrupción
when you
las
clean
cárceles
the jails
y
of
todos
corruption
los negocios
and all the businesses
que desafortunadamente,
that
desgraciadamente,
unfortunately
se dan
are-
alrededor de los reclusorios.
are given around the
Estamos
jails or whatever.
trabajando en ese sentido
We're working in that sense
para
in order to
acabar con la corrupción
end with
en los
corruption
penales,
in the
reclusorios,
jails and
eh,
holding units,
empezando por
and starting with
autoridad,
of the
el
authority,
ejemplo
that they give an
que
example,
había,
because it used to be
corrupción
corruption
en la compra de los alimentos,
in the purchase of the foods for the incarcerated,
como
for example.
todo.
In everything
Lo
else,
estamos
um,
limpiando
we're cleaning up
toda la administración.
the whole administration of jails and
Desde
prisons.
luego,
And of course,
vamos a
we're going to
analizar.
analyze,
Hay grupos religiosos
and there's religious
que van a
groups that go to
reclusorios.
the
Nos han
jails or
pedido
prisons,
que no tengan obstáculo
that there not be an obstacle
para poder
for them
regresar,
to be able
de
to
hacer labor,
continue to do their labors,
espiritual de su
to
vida,
encourage
artistas,
spiritual values.
que van
There's even actors or artists that go to promote
cultura
art and culture
y la cartilla moral.
and the moral.
Yo les
Card.
decía la vez pasada que
And I used to say before,
no me gustan las cárceles,
I don't like prisons or jails.
que por eso
That's
pienso
why I believe
que es mejor prevenir,
that it is better to prevent,
que es mejor atender las causas que
that
originan
it's better to attend to the
la
causes,
violencia,
security and violence,
que haya
that
empleo, que haya
there be
bienestar,
jobs, that there be well-being, that there be happiness,
que haya
that there be
posibilidad de estudiar,
possibility to
de
study,
trabajar,
to work,
escuelas,
for
no
schools,
cárceles.
not jails.
A veces
Sometimes
hasta es
it is
más
even
barato
cheaper
crear escuelas
to create
que
schools
tener cárceles.
than to have jails.
O sea, no solo es más humano,
It's not just more
es
humane,
hasta más barato.
but it's even cheaper, less expensive.
A mí me tocó aquí,
It,
cuando fui jefe de
when I
gobierno,
was here,
construir dos
the chief of
reclusorios.
governor, I had to
Me molestaba
make
mucho.
2 prisons,
Los
and
tuve
it
que
made me
hacer.
very upset, but I had to do it
Había
because we had
saturación en los
oversaturation
reclusorios de la
in
ciudad.
the prisons of the city.
30,000 reclusos.
There was 30,000 that were
También
incarcerated,
en una situación
and
inhumana.
and it was also an inhumane
Pero
situation.
imagínense,
But
hacer reclusorios,
I had to
hice
make
2,
two,
varonil y
2,
femenil,
a male and a female
Para-
prison,
resolver el problema.
to resolve the problem.
Pero me hubiese gustado más
But I would have
esos
rather
fondos
utilized those funds
para seguir construyendo
to continue to
escuelas
construct schools,
preparatorias que hicimos, una en
prep
cada
schools,
delegación,
and we made
la
one in
universidad de la
every
ciudad.
delegation of the city.
Entonces,
And so
el
therefore,
modelo nuestro
the
ahora
model now is,
va más orientado a
to,
lo
it's
preventivo,
more oriented towards
todo.
prevention in everything,
sobre en particular en la
particularly
salud.
in health
Es
matters.
mejor prevenir que
It's
curar.
better to prevent than to have to try and cure or heal.
Y volvemos a lo mismo.
And we return to the same thing.
No solo es más eficaz, más humano.
Not
es
only
más
is it
barato.
more efficient, it is less expensive and more
En
humane.
enfermedades crónicas,
When it has to do with chronic health issues,
si hay buena alimentación,
if there's
buena
good
orientación en la alimentación,
nutrition,
si
And-
se promueve el deporte,
and if you promote
que es medicina
sports,
preventiva,
that's
el ejercicio,
preventative medicine, exercise.
ahorros,
So you save
porque significa
because it means
prevenir
prevention.
enfermedades como diabetes,
like diabetes,
como la hipertensión,
like hypertension,
que son
that these are
las causas
the
de
main
mortalidad,
causes of mortality.
De más contundencia en
It's
México.
most frequent in Mexico,
Antes
whereas before it
enfermedades
used to be
gastrointestinales,
gastrointestinal
respiratorias,
and respiratory. Now it
Son,
seems to be more
enfermedades del
more
corazón,
like the heart,
diabetes
diabetes,
y otras enfermedades
and
crónicas
other chronic conditions,
y cáncer.
and cancer.
Entonces todo
So all these
esto
these
pues tiene que
need to
replantearse y
be
es lo
planned.
mismo en el caso
And
de
it's the same thing
la inseguridad de la
when it
violencia. Por eso tengo
comes
también
to
mucha confianza
insecurity and violence,
de que sí atendemos a los
that we
jóvenes.
need to
Hoy
attend the
estuvimos
young
trabajando
people,
sobre eso,
and we were working on that today
sobre
regarding
la campaña
the campaign
contra las adicciones,
against addictions
que ya
that now
me urge
is urgent to me
que se
that
lleve a
we
cabo,
make it go forward,
porque duele mucho
because it hurts so much
saber
to
de
know
cómo
how much,
desgraciadamente aumenta el consumo
unfortunately, the consumption
de
of
droga.
drugs increases.
Y eso es
And that
terrible.
is terrible.
Entonces tenemos que
So we have
frenar
to
el consumo.
stop the
Entonces, una
consumption.
manera de hacerlo
And one way to
es
do
la
that
campaña,
is the campaign
con todos los medios.
with all the
Yo
media.
decía
And I used to say
hace unos días,
a few days ago,
no hay nada en la radio,
there's
no hay nada en
nothing
la
on the
televisión
radio, there's nothing on the TVs
para orientar a los
in
jóvenes.
order to orient the young,
Lo que
the
hay
youth. What there
Es
is
esta
this whole
vida
life,
ficticia de
fictitious
éxito
of success
que proyectan
that projects
en la televisión, en las
on
series,
TV and on series.
que no significa que yo
That
esté
does not mean that I'm
Contra o que yo
against
vaya
or to try to
promover censura.
promote censoring.
Es que
It's just that
es un estilo
it's a
de vida
style of life
que se
that
idealizó,
has been idealized,
donde
where
los actores,
the actors,
todos galanes,
all looking elegant,
mujeres
and women
bellas,
beautiful,
carros últimos
with
modelos,
like newest cars,
residencias,
residences,
alberca,
and pools, swimming pools,
sets
and sets
de
that
oficinas
look
públicas,
like public
donde aparecen
offices where
presidentes,
they look like they're presidents,
diálogos
with dialogues
de gente bien vestida,
of
los
people that
gobiernos,
is well dressed in the government,
representantes de la
and
delincuencia.
representatives
Todo ese
of
mundo.
delinquency.
Y el otro,
This whole life, this
ese
whole
es el
world.
mundo.
And this other thing
real.
is this real life.
No,
No,
no es así. No.
it's not really like
Puro
that.
traje,
And
¿no?
it just maybe a
Este,
suit
de buen gusto,
of good taste,
o carros último modelo.
or cars,
Hay otra realidad.
new cars. But there's another reality,
La de los jóvenes
like the youth
que en poco tiempo
that
se
in a
vuelven
short
adictos
time become addicted,
y que tienen que consumir
and they have to
drogas
consume
que son
drugs
veneno
that are poison,
y que pierden la vida
and that they lose their lives,
y que
and that
hacen sufrir a sus
they
familiares.
make their families
sus madres
suffer
lloran.
and their mothers cry.
Ese es
That
otro-
is the other
mundo,
world,
otra realidad.
the other
Entonces,
reality.
no es prohibir
So it's not to
ese
prohibit
mundo ideal
that ideal world
de fantasía,
of fantasy.
es dar a conocer
It's to let people
lo
know
otro.
the other.
Entonces, me urge
It is urgent to me
que esa campaña
that campaign
inicie,
be initiated,
porque al mismo tiempo
because at the
ya
same
hay
time
opciones para
there's
los
already
jóvenes.
options for the youth.
Ya no es nada más llamarles
It's
niños,
not just calling them ninis
ya
anymore.
debemos de
Now we need to be,
tener trabajando
should have them all working.
al día de hoy
As of today,
a
actually,
cerca de 700,000
there's about
jóvenes
700,000 youth that are working now.
en el programa
in
Jóvenes
the
Construyendo el Futuro.
Program Youth Creating,
Ya
Constructing the Future.
Hay
And there
cerca de
also is
300,000
300,000 youth
que tienen becas
that have
de
grants
2,400
of
pesos mensuales.
2,400 pesos
estudiar
monthly so
en
that
las
they can study
universidades.
in the universities.
O sea, nada más
So
Jóvenes
not
Construyendo el Futuro.
only those,
Y las cerca de
the youth
300,000
constraining
becas
life and the 300,000
para jóvenes universitarios.
for youth
Estamos hablando
in
de
the
1 millón
university. We're talking about 1 million
de jóvenes
of
atendidos.
youth that are being attended
Entonces
to.
ya hay opciones y
So there's options,
estamos
and we're also
trabajando
working on
para la atención a los
the attention
jóvenes
to the youth
en la prevención.
when it comes to
Ahora que
prevention.
estoy visitando los
Now that I'm visiting
hospitales
the
de
hospitals
bienestar,
of
tienen un programa
Bienestar
muy
or Health
importante.
Well-being, they have a very good program
Que
that's very important.
Hay un
And
psicólogo, una
there is a
psicóloga cada
psychologist
hospital
in
rural,
every hospital,
y tienen
and they
4
have
programas.
4 programs.
Orientación
Orientation
para
in order to
evitar
prevent
embarazos tempranos,
early pregnancies,
no planeados.
unplanned pregnancies.
Es muy importante
It's very important
por lo que está sucediendo
because of what's happening
en embarazos.
with
de
pregnancies
adolescentes.
of adolescents.
Entonces, ese es un programa.
So that's one
Otro
program.
programa
Another
importante
program that's
Es
important is
contra la violencia
it's against violence
al interior de las familias,
to inside the
manejado
families.
por los jóvenes.
That's by
No
the
por la
families,
violencia.
not to
El
violence.
tercer programa
And the third program is
es en contra de la
against
obesidad,
obesity,
que es importantísimo.
because this is very important.
Y el cuarto
And the
programa,
fourth program
el
is
de las adicciones. No a las
addictions.
adicciones.
No to the addictions.
Entonces se llama CARA,
So it's called GARA.
el
CARA, I guess,
que
the
es
plan,
atención a
which is
adolescentes.
attention to
Entonces,
adolescents.
ya estos programas se
So
están
now these
fortaleciendo
programs
porque
are being
hay
formalized
hospitales
because
en
there's
donde no tienen el
hospitals
psicólogo
where they don't have a psychologist,
y no se está haciendo bien.
and it's not
Entonces, se va
being
a
done
fortalecer.
right. So we need to
Estamos hablando
strengthen.
ya de 80
So we're talking about 80
hospitales
hospitals
con 80
with
programas
80
con
programs
estas características,
with these
más
characteristics,
otros centros.
and additional centers as well for
Entonces, sí
attention
nos
to
urge
youth.
mucho
So it is very urgent for us, this matter
de atender las
of
causas.
attending the causes.
Ella, ¿por qué no la vamos a...? Sí.
Gracias, señor presidente. Sandra Greda, de Grupo Laja Comunicaciones. Mi pregunta es sobre el tema que está hablando. ¿Ha pensado en las personas que se
Have you
encuentran en los
thought about
adolescentes,
those people,
adolescentes que están en la
the
calle, ya
adolescents
con
that
las
are on the
adicciones? ¿Qué va a
street
hacer con
with
ellos?
addictions? What are
Y
you
por
going to do
otro
with
lado,
them?
si piensa
And on the
establecer
other
o no
hand,
tiene planeado
are you planning to
un
establish
examen antidoping en las
an
escuelas, tal vez puede ser cada
drug
6 meses? Esa es mi
test
pregunta.
every
Es parte del
about 6
programa
months or something?
que se
Yes,
está
that's part of the program that we're
Acabo
working on.
también de
I've also begun
coordinador de todo el
to start with
programa
a
nacional.
coordinator.
Hoy
Today,
vamos a dar a conocer
we can let you know
el nombre.
the name.
No,
No,
el encargado del programa de
the person that is in charge of the program
Hugo es el subsecretario de Salud.
is Hugo, is the subsecretary of health.
Sí, les damos a conocer hoy
And we'll let you know today
lo que ya llevamos.
what the plan is and what we have so far. I'm not sure about this mic.
Presidente Roberto Cruz de Grupo Impacto, dos preguntas.
So I
una
had two questions,
y una soft.
a hard one and an easy one.
Esta semana,
So this week,
Impacto cumple 70 años
the
como medio principalmente político.
they have a magazine that's now
durante 70 años,
70 years old
desde 1949,
that has
cuando
been
se
running
fundó
since
la revista.
founded in 1949.
Concediendo que un país crece
And we can see
o
that
se
a country
rezaga
grows,
según el aprovechamiento
and
del
according
poder
to its
político y
power,
económico
political,
principalmente.
and
Hoy que usted ganó el poder político,
economical.
quisiéramos su opinión
Now that you
sobre
have
si ostentando
gained the political
convierte
control,
a quien lo gana
Can
en un
you-
ente poderoso
are
para
you,
usarlo a granel
so are you going to use it
en
as
un
a
personaje
fountain,
intocable?
like an
Y si el
untouchable
poder
person?
es el principal
And is
vehículo
power
de
the
cambio social,
main
además, ¿qué
change
considera usted
in
o cuáles
society?
considera usted
And
como
what do you
otros poderes
consider
válidos
to be
que
valid
existan
powers
más allá
that exist
de los
more
poderes de la Unión? Esa es la
be,
primera pregunta.
past the
Pues,
union powers?
no deben de
No, they should not
existir más que
exist
los poderes
more than the powers
y legítimamente
for
constituidos.
legitimately
Es
constituted.
decir,
That is to say,
el poder
the power,
dimana
dimana,
del pueblo.
of the power of the people.
No pueden
They
haber
cannot
otros poderes
have other powers
creados.
that are created.
Quienes
Those that
detengan el poder
intend the
tienen que
power
haber surgido
need to
de
have
procesos
surged
democráticos.
from democratic
Entonces, en ese
processes.
sentido,
So in that
sí
sense,
soy representante
I am a
del poder
representative
ejecutivo,
of the executive
porque
power
me eligieron
because they
con
elected
ese
me
propósito.
for that
Ahora,
purpose. And now,
¿qué
what about,
se hace con el poder?
what do they do with the power?
Bueno,
Well,
lo fundamental
the fundamental part
es servir
is to serve
a los ciudadanos,
the citizens,
a los semejantes, servir al prójimo.
your fellow man.
El poder
The power,
solo tiene
is-
sentido,
it only has sense or makes
se
sense
convierte en virtud
and becomes a virtue
cuando se pone al servicio de los demás.
when you put it in service to others.
Lo otro
The other
es
is
fantochería, prepotencia,
thinking you're something special.
no tiene validez.
It has no value.
Eso es para
That's
los
for
que no tienen convicción.
those that have no conviction.
Principios.
principles.
Entonces, el poder solo se
and no ideals.
justifica
So,
si se pone
power
al
is
servicio
justified if it's done
de
in service
los demás, de
for
la
others,
sociedad
for society,
en su conjunto.
in
Y ya en lo
conjunction.
personal,
And now in the personal aspect,
ya, como diría
as uh,
o decía el finado Daniel Cosío Villegas,
Daniel
estilo
Cosiga
personal.
Yelas used to say in the personal style of governing,
entender que
to
el
understand
poder es
that the
humildad.
power is humility.
Eso,
That,
nada de prepotencia,
no
nada de
powers,
autoritarismo,
no authoritarianism,
la fuerza
the strength
de la razón.
of reason.
Con eso
With that,
se ejerce el poder.
you can exercise your power.
Y
And
dicen también,
they also
hablando
say
de poder,
that regarding
cuando
power,
no hay ideales, no hay
that when
principios,
there's no ideals and
el
principles,
poder
the power
atonta
makes you
a
stupid
los inteligentes.
even if you're
Y a los
intelligent.
tontos, por no
And for
decir
the dumb ones,
otra cosa,
it's another thing.
los vuelve locos.
It makes them crazy.
Pero si hay principios,
But if there's
ideales,
principles and ideals,
no hay
there is
riesgo
no risk
de echarse a perder.
of becoming
También se
ruined.
dice
And it is also said
que el poder corrompe
that power corrupts,
y que
and
el
that
poder absoluto
absolute power
corrompe
corrupts
absolutamente.
absolutely,
Siempre y cuando no haya
especially
democracia.
when there's no democracy or liberty.
Si hay democracia, hay
But if
libertad.
there's democracy and
Nadie
liberty,
puede sentirse
nobody
superior
can feel
en
superior
la escala social,
in the social
en
scales,
ningún nivel de la escala social.
and any level of the social scale.
Democracia es
Democracy is
igualdad,
equality.
es tener las mismas oportunidades.
It means to have the same
¿Considera
opportunities.
usted que ha
Have you ever
utilizado el poder
considered
político
that you've
excesivamente?
No.
used that excessively?
Nunca.
No, never.
He ejercido mis libertades
I've exercised my liberties, yes,
a plenitud,
to plentifully,
porque siempre he pensado que la
because
libertad
I've always thought that
no se
liberty
implora, se conquista.
is not demanded, but it's conquered.
Sí,
Or
ejerzo mi libertad.
I exercise my liberty,
Y todos
and all of you,
tenemos que ejercer
we need to exercise it
sin limitaciones la libertad.
without
Bueno,
limitations to liberty.
presidente, y en el mismo contexto,
So, Mr. President, in the same context,
presidente, revélenos
can you
su
reveal to
secreto
us your secret
y elimine
and
el
eliminate
augurio,
the saying
preocupación o consigna de
and
algunos.
preoccupation
Desde
by
que
many
arrancó,
that since
para
you
usted
started,
no hay
you have not
días de
had
guardar.
a day off or
No hay
taken rest,
puentes como los de Guadalupe Reyes.
like
Sábados y domingos
Guadalupe
forman
Reyes.
parte de su agenda diaria.
Saturday and Sunday, you work every day. I'm not
Y
just
porque
trying to
pretenda, como usted ha
like
dicho,
pretend like
sea
you're,
solo un florero,
it's not
sino
just
por
to
dos
be
cosas. Primero,
saying good things to
salud.
you, but it's what about your health?
Segundo, la
And
continuación
second,
transeccional del proyecto de
regarding
la
the
cuarta transformación, si se consuma.
for the
No
fourth
existe
transformation
una
to be
alerta
consumed. Isn't there an
ante no
alert
descanso,
as that
aunque exista la
not
segura
resting,
siesta diaria?
if it's
¿Existe un
even if
plan
you
B
work daily?
para
Is there a
seguir
plan
con el
B
mismo ritmo de
to
trabajo?
continue with the same rhythm
¿O
of
de
work?
plano hay un pacto
Or
con la
is there a
madre tierra
pact
o
with
con los chamanes?
Mother Earth or
Recientemente usted
someone else?
admitió que padece hipertensión arterial.
So you've told us you've
Como
had
se dice
arterial
coloquialmente,
hypertension,
tocando madera.
colloquially. And so let's
Pero,
knock on wood,
¿Tiene
colloquially you
usted en la
said.
mira a alguien que
So,
pudiera actuar con
Do
la
you
misma
know of
tónica suya?
anybody else that could
¿Quién es?
act with the same?
Yo estoy muy bien
who
de
is it?
salud.
I'm very healthy.
Ya es de dominio público. tuve
It is
un
public
infarto,
dominion that I had a stroke
Salí bien,
and I came out
por
okay.
eso
And that is why
me interesa
it is
mucho,
very
entre
interesting
otras
to me, or
enfermedades,
interests me, that and many
el
other
que
diseases,
puedan salvarse vidas
that we can save
de
lives
quienes padecen
for
infartos.
those who have
Miren,
strokes.
eh,
Look here,
en los hospitales que
in
estoy
the
visitando,
hospitals that I've been
llevo
visiting,
17
I've been at
hospitales.
17 so far.
Solo en 2
Only on 2 of them
hay equipo
have they got the equipment
y medicina
and medication
para atender a
to attend
infartados.
to a stroke.
No para intervenirlos,
Not to intervene,
no cardiólogos,
not cardiologists,
intervencionistas,
but interventionists
para salvarles la vida,
to save their lives.
sino para
But
prepararlos
the preparatory
ante el infarto,
against
puedan
medication, so that they can get medication, so they can get to the clinic
en donde
where they
los
can
intervengan.
have the actual
De
intervention.
17 hospitales,
From
solo
17 hospitals, only 2 had it.
y
And
si no tienen
if they don't have
ese equipo,
this
esa
equipment
medicina,
and that medication,
no duran,
they won't
no
make it.
alcanzan a llegar,
They won't be able to make it.
porque donde hay
Because
la
where
atención,
there's the attention,
en promedio,
approximately
Está
there's a
4
median
horas.
of 4 hours
del hospital.
from the hospital.
Ya no hablemos de la comunidad.
Let's not even talk about when they're in the community.
Por ejemplo,
For example, if
alguien se
you
infarta,
if someone has a stroke in Huatutla,
sí,
yes,
no lo pueden ahí
and they can't do it, they can't attend to them there
porque no existe el
because
equipo,
they do
no
not
existe
have
el
the
medicamento.
equipment
Lo tienen
or
que
the
llevar.
medication.
Si tienen la ambulancia
They need to take them, if they have an ambulance,
a Tampico
to
o a
Tampico
Poza Rica,
or Poza Rica.
y son 4 o 5 horas. Ya
And
no
there's
llegó.
4 to 5 hours, and he won't make it.
Entonces,
So therefore,
yo tuve la suerte
I had
de
the
que a mí me dio el infarto
fortune
aquí en la
that
Ciudad de México,
I had the
15
stroke
minutos
here
del
in Mexico,
hospital.
from 15 minutes from the hospital.
Sí, y por eso
And that's why
lo puedo contar.
I can live to tell about it.
Pero
However,
hay muy buenos médicos
there
en
are
el país,
very good doctors in our
buenos
country,
especialistas.
very good
Eh,
specialists.
Si se atiende
And
el
if
infarto
you attend to the
Eh,
infarct or
y
stroke
se
or heart attack,
es cuidadoso
and
con
if you're
la
careful
alimentación,
with the
el hacer el ejercicio,
nutrition, exercise,
las pastillas,
and your
es
medication,
como un cóctel
because it's like a cocktail daily,
para
in order
estar
to
tranquilo.
stay
Pues estuvo bien.
tranquil. So then we'll be
Vuelve
fine.
uno
And you return to yourself, to
a
your
nacer.
former self, and you're like born
Sí,
again.
retoma uno
And if you
todas las actividades.
resume all your activities,
Y
and
sí,
if
ayer
yesterday
vi
I saw
a quien me atiende,
the person that attends to me, my doctor, I guess,
Todo.
practitioner,
electrocardiograma
I had EKG,
y análisis
analysis,
allá en la casa de ustedes.
And that-
me hacen el favor,
in your home, if you
irme
wouldn't
a
mind
tomar la
checking.
sangre a las 5 de la mañana
So they came to my home and they drew blood
para los análisis
for the analysis,
y
and
al 100. Todo esto
I was
aprovecho
100%.
para decirlo porque
So I'm just letting you know,
piden
because
información.
I know you guys have questions and you want information as to how am I doing health. I can even tell you
Los resultados de los
the,
análisis. Estoy muy bien.
results of the
Entonces,
analysis, and I'm
bueno,
doing very well, 100%.
Yo tengo
So
el
now-
compromiso
I have a commitment
de entregarme,
to turn myself
de
over,
consagrarme
to consecrate
a esta
myself
causa
to this cause
mientras viva.
as long as I live.
Entonces,
So
un poco
therefore,
mi
a little
angustia
of my anxiety And my anxiety, anguish is time,
porque no me voy a reelegir.
because I will not
Principios,
run again because of ideals and principles.
Entonces,
So therefore,
aparentemente son
apparently,
6 años. Bueno, ya no
it's
son
going to be
6
6
años.
years. Well, now there's no more 6 years because
Yo no voy a terminar
I'm not going
desde
to
noviembre,
end at the end of November,
otros presidentes,
like the other
24.
presidents did
Yo
on the
termino
24th.
a finales de septiembre.
I'll end at the end of September.
Pero
But
eso es poco.
that's a little.
El asunto
The matter is,
es que
or the topic is that
la transformación
the transformation requires,
primero establecer las bases,
first of all, that you establish the basis,
que es lo que quiero dejar
which is what I want to
listo
leave
este año.
ready this year.
Este mismo año,
This same year.
en no robar,
And not stealing,
el destinar
to destine
el presupuesto
the budget
a quienes más lo necesitan,
to those that need it the most.
acabar con la corrupción,
To end with corruption, end with impunity, establish
auténtico Estado de
a
Derecho,
new authentic right of
que
state,
haya bienestar
that there be
y
well-being,
que
and that there
haya crecimiento,
be
empleo,
growth of work,
y comenzar
and to
a
begin
serenar al país,
to make the
enfrentando la
country
inseguridad y la
serene
violencia.
by
Este año,
calming
bases.
down violence and insecurity.
Eh,
So
y
these are the
fortalecer
bases
ese
to
programa
strengthen that program
en 5 años.
within
Por
5
ejemplo,
years.
¿por
For
qué el
example,
tiempo?
why the time?
Que el Tren Maya
Because the train Maya or Maya train,
lo tenemos que terminar en 3 años.
we have to finish it in 3 years.
La refinería
The
en 3
refinery
años. La
within 3 years.
modernización de las 6
The
refinerías.
modernization of the 6 refineries, no more than
El
3 years.
desarrollo del istmo
The development
con los
of
2
Eastern
puertos,
and the 2
el
ports,
ferrocarril,
the
todas
railroad,
esas obras, 3
all these
años.
works, 3 years.
El aeropuerto de Santa
The
Lucía,
airport of Santa
2
Lucia,
años y medio.
2.5 years.
Entonces,
So
si
therefore,
no estoy,
if I am not,
por ejemplo, se ha avanzado
For
mucho
example,
en todo lo que es el bienestar.
we've advanced so much in health
8
and
millones
well-being.
de adultos mayores
8
están recibiendo
million
su pensión.
people are receiving their pension, double what they used to
Ya
receive.
estamos por llegar
So
al
we're
millón
almost at a
de
million
niñas y niños
of
con pensión,
boys and girls with a pension
quienes tienen
that
discapacidad,
have
tienen
disabilities.
esa pensión.
They have that pension.
Ya
And
estamos
we are also
cerca de,
near
entregando cerca de
delivering
10
nearly
millones de
10
becas.
million grants.
esto que les hablaba yo de los jóvenes.
This is what I was talking about, the youth.
Ya nada más en jóvenes construyendo el futuro, 700,000
700,000 jóvenes or youth creating the
para
future.
este año.
And that's for this
Va a
year,
seguir creciendo.
and it's going to keep growing.
El Sembrando Vida,
And planting life.
ya están trabajando
Now we have people working to, as of today,
200,000
200,000
sembradores.
that are planting life.
200,000.
200,000.
Hagan la cuenta,
So,
200,000
you have
sembradores
200,000 planters. Do the math.
que tienen un jornal en total
That they have a
de
total
5,000 pesos
of 5,000 pesos
mensuales.
monthly.
Campesinos para
The-
que estén cultivando
The
sus
workers so they can
parcelas,
continue to
ejidatarios, pequeños propietarios. Entonces, se va
till
avanzando,
their own ground. And so
pero hay
they're,
que estar todo el tiempo.
but you have to always be on top of it.
Lo de Santa Lucía,
So like in Santa
ya
Lucia,
salió
it came out,
el estudio
the study,
de impacto ambiental.
environmental impact study.
De todas maneras hay que esperar,
And anyway, we still have to wait
porque
because
quién sabe
who
cuántos
knows
amparos más.
who else is going to be making complaints and
para ir
demands
desahogando.
so that we can be working forward. So I need to be paying attention because
Me voy de vacaciones.
if I go on vacations, or vacation,
avanzan
they advance.
los conservas
Those conservatives,
en su plan
in their
de
plan
impedir
to impose and
que se
prevent
lleve a cabo la
that the
transformación.
fourth transformation go
Entonces, tengo que
forth.
estar ahí,
So I have to be right on it, be
pendiente,
pending, monitoring everything.
Yo creo que lo están por subir.
I believe they're about
Si
to
no es que-
put it on.
¿Ya lo hicieron público?
Have they already made it
¿No sabes?
public? What?
A ver,
Do
¿por
you
qué no
know?
lo ves ahora? Porque
Why
van
don't
a
you,
subir
they're going to put it
a la
up
página de
on the page
la Secretaría de Medio Ambiente.
of the Secretary
O sea,
of
se tiene que hacer público.
Environment.
Pero
It
¿qué
has
otra
to be
cosa
made public.
quedó?
So what else was pending?
No es una obsesión
Is it an obsession to be on top of everything?
No, es que estoy muy bien
No,
de salud.
no, I'm very healthy. I'm doing very
Estoy al
well.
100.
I'm 100%.
Miren,
Look
el
here,
domingo
on Sunday,
dormí
I slept
en Huejutla.
in Huajutla.
Llegamos.
We
en
arrived
Tamazunchal.
in Tamazunchal,
El último acto
and the final act
fue en Tamazunchal.
was in Tamazunchal. And let's see.
El viernes.
So on
Estuvimos
Friday,
aquí.
we were here.
Luego
And then
fuimos a Cerritos,
we went to Cerritos,
San Luis Potosí.
San Luis Potosí, and we had a action activity there.
En Río Verde.
And then we had an activity in Rio Verde, San Luis Potosí.
A dormir a Valle.
And then I slept in the valley, La Valle, south.
O sea, amanecimos ahí.
So we woke up there.
En la mañana también.
And in the morning again,
Porque
because
vamos a desarrollar la Huasteca.
we're going to develop the
Tiene mucho
Ahuasteca,
potencial.
which has very much
turístico.
potential for tourism.
Bueno, y se va a
And
ampliar
then you go,
un aeropuerto
they're going to
que tiene
amplify an airport that they have
ahí.
there.
Nos comprometimos
And we've
a
already
una inversión
committed for an
de
investment
1,000
of
millones de pesos
1,000
para
million
el
pesos
desarrollo de toda la
in order to develop that Ahuasteca.
De
So
Tamuín nos fuimos
then they went to
hasta
Tamuén, to Azatla,
otro acto
another activity
en la Huasteca.
in Ahuasteca.
De Aztla
From
a
Aztla
Tamazunchal,
to Tamazunchal
el sábado.
on Saturday.
Terminamos Tamazunchal,
We ended Tamazunchale
fuimos a dormir el sábado en la noche.
and we went to sleep Saturday in the evening to Huajutla.
El domingo,
And on Sunday,
Huejutla,
Huajutla
la mañana.
in the morning.
Mediodía,
And in
Chicontepec,
at noon,
Veracruz.
Chipoltepec, Las
el
Cruces,
balcón
en Balcón
de la Huasteca.
of Aguasteca.
Y de Chicontepec en
And then from
carretera a la Ciudad
Chicontepec
de
on the
México,
road to the city of Mexico,
que son
which is
5 horas.
5 hours.
Pero en el camino
But on the road,
que es un privilegio también
which is a
eso,
privilege
tiene
to
algo,
anyway,
vivo y activo.
that I'm live
Es
and
un
active.
privilegio conocer
It's a privilege to know, to get to know the whole territory. It's the beauty of Mexico.
las montañas, los
The
valles,
mountains, the
los
canyons,
valles,
the
los
valleys,
arroyos, los
the
ríos,
rivers,
la vegetación, los
the
verdes,
vegetation, the green, beautiful
la
greens,
diversidad
the diversity,
biológica,
biological, cultural
de nuestro pueblo.
of our country.
Entonces,
So,
para venir a México,
in order to come to Mexico from
hay que pasar
Chipoltepec,
por
you've got to pass
Izhuatlán de Madero,
Ixhuatlán de Madero.
es un municipio de Veracruz.
It's a
Nació
municipality of
el
Veracruz.
ingeniero Berto Castillo.
The creation of Genero
Muy grande,
Castillo.
territorial,
And it's a
con muchas
large municipality. And
atravesando
so
Izhuatlán,
we cross Iguatlán,
pasamos por un pueblo
we pass through a town
que se llama
that's
Pisaflores.
called Pisaflores.
Y
And
pasamos
we
y
passed
una
it,
asamblea
and there was an assembly
ahí.
there that day.
Y que le digo,
And I said,
Rojas,
Rojas,
que es el que siempre
that
conduce
he's the one
lentamente.
that's always driving the
Párate.
truck. I said,
Y
stop,
nos bajamos.
let's get off.
Y la gente pues no sabía.
And the people didn't know. In other words, he was not
Nos vamos
expected. So we get off and we
al
go
auditorio,
in to the
a la
auditorium,
plaza,
to the plaza,
a la asamblea,
to the assembly,
fuera de programa.
out of the program.
Imagínense,
Imagine,
se pusieron muy contentos.
they were
porque
so
además
happy because
estaban
they were
tratando
already
asuntos relacionados
dealing
con
with
programas de
matters
bienestar.
regarding the well-being programs.
Entonces ahí con un
So
megáfono
there with a megaphone,
les hablé.
I talked to them.
Y adiós, adiós, vamos.
And so goodbye, goodbye, and we took off.
Llegamos aquí
And we arrived here
a las 10 de la noche.
at 10 p.m.
Por eso
And that's why
ya no me fui a dormir a
I didn't go
Tlalpan, sino
sleep
me quedé
in
aquí
Delvelopment, so I stayed here
domingo.
on Sunday.
Pero
But
estoy bien.
I'm
O sea, cuando
very,
puedo,
I'm doing very
me
well.
escapo.
So when I can, I
Hay
escape.
algunos que
But some people don't like it
yo
when
me
I
vaya un rato
go
al béisbol.
go to play
Sí.
baseball a little bit. But
Y estoy muy bien.
I'm
muy a
very
gusto,
healthy. I'm
muy
feeling very
feliz
good. I'm
de
very
estar
happy
sirviendo
to be
a mi
serving
patria
my people
y de estar
and to
encabezando
be heading
un movimiento de
a
transformación.
movement of transformation
Además, con el
that
apoyo y la
besides
confianza
with
de
the
la gente
support
que está
and the
también
belief in the
feliz
people that is also
y que me están
happy,
ayudando
that are
a
supporting
empujar
me and helping
el
me to
elefante,
push this elephant,
el elefante
the elephant
reumático y
that's
mañoso,
rheumatoid
que
and
ya está
has bad
caminando,
habits,
que ya está
that is
dando
starting
los
to move,
primeros pasos.
is giving its few steps.
Nos vamos para atrás después.
Sí. Presidente de todos los mexicanos, Carlos Pozos, reportero de la revista Petróleo y Energía. Entendemos que su salud es
We
importante.
understand your
pero más
health is
importante es su seguridad,
important,
presidente.
but we also
La
want
semana
you to be
pasada, usted
safety.
en San Luis
We
Potosí,
know that in San Luis Potosí,
tuvo ahí un
you
evento
had
en donde
an
se
event
rompió su cerco
where
de
your
seguridad.
your safety was
Ahorita aquí,
broken,
antes de entrar
your
a la
circle of
mañanera,
safety.
gente de Tijuana,
People from
gente,
Tijuana
unas
and
mujeres,
people
unas
and
maestras
the
de
women
Tabasco,
from
en
Tabasco
redes sociales
in the
le
social
piden
webs
que, por
are
favor,
asking you,
cuide su
please
seguridad.
take
¿Qué
care of
está
your
pasando,
security.
presidente?
What's happening, Mr.
El
President, is that
superdelegado está fallando.
is
Está
somebody
fallando
failing?
el Centro Nacional de
Is this
Información.
national
Está faltando el
center
diálogo
of
político con el gobernador de San Luis Potosí, en este
political
caso,
dialogue for
Juan
San Luis
Manuel
Potosí?
Carreras.
Carreras,
Insistirle,
I insist,
reforzará su seguridad
reinforce
para el
your
bien de todos los
security
mexicanos.
for the
La gente me
well,
cuida,
good
de
of
verdad.
all the Mexican
Pero
people.
no estuvieron
The people take care of
en
me,
ese- en ese
Hay
but
algunos
it's not
que se
safe.
pasan.
Yes, there's a few
O sea,
that
que
go
no-
overboard, that smash me.
Pero
But
por lo general
in general,
hay mucho respeto.
there's a lot of respect.
En general,
In general,
hasta de
Even
quienes están inconformes
those that are not happy
por que se están cambiando las reglas
because the rules are changing,
y van a manifestarse
and they go manifest
y
against,
son respetuosos.
and they're respectful.
Eso que sucedió en
That
Valles
that happened in Valles
algo
was something that
excepcional.
was exceptional or unusual, not normal happening. But what about on the social web? We saw something about some arms,
No.
guns. No, but I'm not going
a usar guardaespaldas.
to get a bodyguard.
No voy a usar guardaespaldas.
I am not going to get a
Eso ya,
bodyguard.
lo tengo
I've already
decidido, y,
decided that
definido,
and defined it.
y nada más pedirle a la gente
And I only want to ask the people
me ayuden.
that they help me,
No solo es cuidarme,
not only to take care
es
of
la
me,
organización.
it's the organization.
Porque
Because
son actos
their activities or actions
donde participa mucha gente.
where lots of people participate.
Y pues yo quiero saludar a todos ellos
And I
también.
want to say hi to everybody, and everybody wants to say hi to
Pues,
me.
no es fácil
But it's not
de
easy
abrir paso,
to open the route or the
de
way,
hacer la valla.
to make
Todo eso es
the route
lo
for me to
que,
walk through.
se tiene
And
que
these are the things that I
ir
want
resolviendo
them to be resolving
para
in order to
evitar problemas.
prevent problems.
Hay
There's also
inconformidades
inconformities
porque es
or
natural,
unhappiness
pero
because
hay
it's natural.
respeto.
But there's respect.
No
No,
me he sentido
I haven't
nunca
felt
agredido.
like I
En
was
este caso
assaulted.
de Valles,
But in this case of Valles,
tuvo que ver con
it had to do with
una
with
invasión
an invasion
a mi intimidad.
to my
Porque
intimacy
ya estaba yo,
because I was already
pues, para meterme al
getting
cuarto del
ready
hotel.
to get in my room of the hotel.
Y eso sí,
And then there,
no era correcto.
it wasn't
Yo les
correct.
decía a ellos,
I would
con
tell
todo
them
respeto,
with all respect,
¿les gustaría a ustedes
would
que
you like it if
alguien
someone
fuese a
came
meterse
and got
sus
into
casas?
your homes?
A nadie
No,
nos gusta eso.
nobody would like that.
Entonces, además,
So
hablándoles
therefore,
de que
I also talked to them about
iban a ser atendidos.
that they would be
En
attended to.
todo esto también
But in all these
hay,
cases, also there was
la posibilidad de la
the
manipulación.
possibility that they were being manipulated.
Sí, sí,
Yes,
sí, sí. Pero la gente
but the people
ya es otra.
is another
Ya
kind
cambió
of
la
people.
mentalidad del pueblo.
Their mentality has
Puede ser
changed of the people.
Que les den
They even if they
instrucciones.
give them instructions,
Hay que ir y hacer
let's
esto.
go here and do this.
Y por cualquier
And
circunstancia.
for whatever circumstance, they go.
Pero ya estando ahí,
But once they are there,
ya no se atreven
they don't dare.
hasta nuestros adversarios.
Even our adversaries,
O sea, porque
because
no le hacemos mal a nadie.
we don't cause any injury to anybody.
Entonces,
So therefore,
aunque los manden,
even
yo
if they
recuerdo
send them,
que,
I recall when
cuando fui
when-
jefe de gobierno,
I was chief of the governor,
tenía yo un plantón permanente
I had a permanent
de
dwelling
los de Antorcha Campesina.
of Antorcha Campesina
Porque desde entonces
because since then
querían
they
que se les
wanted
entregara a
us
ellos el
to
apoyo
give them the money
en ese
in that
caso,
time, in
para
that case.
vivienda.
So for
Y lo que hicimos
uh,
de vivienda aquí en la
vivienda.
ciudad era directo
So what we did was gave it to them directly,
al beneficiario,
to the beneficiary,
no a la organización.
not to the organization.
Entonces
So therefore,
ponen el plantón,
they put the plan an ununited apparatus that was very strong,
día y noche.
day and night.
Y además,
And besides that,
directo.
directly to my office.
Pues aguantar.
So I tolerated
Pero
it,
pasaba yo
but I would pass by,
y los que estaban
and the ones that were there
ahí,
at that
que
place,
no los dirigentes,
that were not the directors, but the
porque
people
suele
that were
pasar
sent.
que
Because,
mandan a la gente.
you know, they send people,
Los dirigentes
the
no
directors,
se quedan a dormir
but they go sleep.
en un plantón.
They don't go wait there all night and
Estos
try and
dirigentes.
take care of these directors
Sin convicción,
without
los
convictions.
mandan.
They send people.
Entonces,
So
pero la
therefore,
gente
the
respetuosa.
people were respectful.
Y siempre es así.
And it's always been like that.
Entonces, es cosa
So
también de ir
therefore, it's
informando.
also a matter of
Ahora hay
informing.
aquí un plantón
Like
de
here, there's a little
campesinos que quieren
area, a
lo de
group of
sus
people that want to know regarding their
saber, pues
supports.
ya
And
se
so,
les está informando
so we are informing
de cómo se están entregando los apoyos.
how we're delivering the
Es un
monies,
poco
the
lo que
funds,
les informamos
which is
aquí.
kind of what we
Ustedes,
explained here
lo
to
que
you.
pasa
What happens
que
is
la costumbre era
that the custom
entregarle
was to
dinero a
deliver
las
the money to
organizaciones,
organizations.
y ya no,
And this is not the case anymore.
no va a ser así.
It's not going to be like that.
Es directo
Now they get the money
al
directly
productor,
to the
al
producer,
ejidatario,
to the
al pequeño
legislature,
propietario,
to the little owners of small businesses,
directo el apoyo para
and
pagarles
directly the
mejor
support
por su maíz, por su frijol.
for the ones that are going to
Precios
buy
de
their
garantía.
grain with guaranteed
A
prices.
eso han dirigido los apoyos.
That's what the supports or the
Entonces, ya no
funds
es
are being directed to.
de que se le entrega a cada organización un
So
recurso
no longer is the recourse or the
y esa
resource given to an
distribuye
organization,
el recurso
and then
que
that
por lo
the
general
generation,
lo que
the
distribuían
the-
eran despensas.
they wouldn't give all the funds.
O sea,
They would give
se
like
está
little.
dando un giro
So they would give,
a todo lo que es el apoyo al campo.
so now we're giving them the whole
En vez
amount.
de la distribución de las
Instead of
despensas,
it being distributed
es
by
apoyo
dispensaries,
para la producción.
it's given directly to them for production.
Pasar de lo
So passing from
asistencial
the assistance
en todo
in
a
everything
lo productivo.
to the productive.
Porque si tienen sus tierras,
Because if they
y
have
tienen
their
el apoyo
lands
para
and they have the
cultivarlas,
support to cultivate them,
es mucho mejor
it's
que
much
estar
better
entregando
than to be giving the support
despensa.
funds to somebody else.
Ese es el cambio.
That's the
Entonces,
change.
esos
And-
acomodos pues generan
And so these new adjustments
inconformidad.
were generating
Pero-
inconformity.
Pues ya no
But it,
vamos
that
a regresar
we're not going to go back to
a
that,
esas épocas.
to those
Ya esto
times.
es otra cosa.
Now we have a
Presidente,
new thing
mi segunda
going.
pregunta.
So,
Hoy en
President,
el
let me ask you a
periódico
question.
Reforma aparece que la Unidad de Inteligencia Fiscal presentó ante la Fiscalía General de la República información en contra de Carlos Romero de Champs y su familia por enriquecimiento ilícito. Ese
So there was
sería-
somebody against
que-
Champs
quisiera saber
that
si es
they
verdad y
made
sería el
a,
primer,
something about
golpe de su
acquiring wealth
gobierno. Y
illicitly.
en este mismo sentido sobre el
And in the same
sindicalismo,
sense,
quisiera saber
regarding
si será
syndicates or syndication,
del Sindicato de Trabajadores Petroleros de la
the
República Mexicana,
union,
los empleados que
Republic,
trabajan
I'm sorry,
en la
the
refinería
union
Dos
of
Bocas,
the,
o será algún nuevo
was it
alguna
the gas,
organización sindical.
petroleum
Sí,
syndicate.
acerca de lo último,
Regarding the
es,
last part,
con el sindicato.
it's with the
Tenemos que ser
syndication.
respetuosos
We have to be respectful
de el contrato
of the
colectivo.
collective contract
Eh,
for the union.
no vamos a
And we are not
caer
going to fall
en,
in,
violar
in violation
la ley electoral.
the electoral laws.
Si existe otro sindicato
And if there
de
exists another
acuerdo
syndication
a lo que se está planteando,
or they're planning something,
se busca
you look for
el mecanismo
the mechanism
y de conformidad con la reforma laboral,
and
la
can,
nueva reforma
to
laboral.
do
Ahora
new
van a ser
labor
los
reform.
trabajadores
So then the
los que
workers
van a decidir
are going to decide
quién
whom
los va a representar.
is going to represent them.
Eso es muy importante
That is very important
para el que se
For
garantice la libertad sindical.
them to guarantee
Acerca de
union
la denuncia,
syndication
no tengo
rules.
información.
So regarding the other part, I have
Pero
no information,
Es un
but
poco lo que pasó ayer.
it's the same thing, kind of what happened yesterday.
Tengo dada la instrucción
I have given the
de
instruction
que todo lo que
that
implique
all that implicates
o que pueda
or that can
implicar un
implicate
delito
a
se
crime
denuncie,
needs to be told.
sea quien sea.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Acabo de tener una
I just told,
reunión,
had a meeting
bueno, ayer,
yesterday, as a matter of fact,
con Santiago Nieto.
with Santiago Nieto.
¿De hoy? No, fue ayer.
It was
La
yesterday,
reunión.
and
No,
the
lo
meeting.
de, hoy fue otra cosa.
Today it was another thing.
Pero
But,
sí,
yes,
eh,
well, here, they gave him something.
bueno, miren. un
So here,
paréntesis.
let me show you.
Me dice Jesús,
Jesus
que
tells
me
me,
dio
he gave
mi
me
acordeón.
my accordion.
El jueves se publica
That
el
on,
manifiesto de impacto ambiental
Thursday, they're going to
del
be
aeropuerto de Santa Lucía.
putting out the impact
Por la
study
permisa.
for Santa Lucia on that website.
No sé exactamente
I don't know
si está
exactly
presentada
if
la
it's
denuncia.
presented a
Pero-
claim,
Mañana podríamos
but tomorrow we could
decirles sobre esto.
let you know regarding that.
A ver, Sara. Bueno, ¿saben por qué?
So do you know why
Le tengo mucha consideración a
I
Sara
have a
y
lot of
compañeros,
consideration
todos
for
los
Sara and you guys,
todos.
all of you
Hay
guys?
cariño.
It's because there's
Porque cuando hablo de esos
cariño.
viajes,
It's,
sí, largos,
when you have good sentiments
Sara
towards
es
somebody.
de las que van a las giras.
for those that go to the meetings,
y padecen,
and it appears
pues también
that they also,
todas estas giras
that all
intensas,
these meetings that are
compañeros,
intense
compañeras
with
de los medios,
other members of the media,
que siempre pues pedimos que
we always
vayan
ask
con cuidado
that they go cautiously
todos los riesgos que se corren.
due to all the risks that they run. In the time I've been doing this fight,
Han perdido la vida
there
en
have,
accidentes
that some have lost their lives to
con nosotros.
newspaper people that were covering
En
us.
el 2006 perdieron la vida.
I remember
Un reportero,
2006,
un camarógrafo de Televisa,
cameraman from Televisa.
y así, accidentados.
It was an accident,
Ahora,
and now
Helio,
Elio
el de Milenio,
from Millennial,
Heliodoro,
Eliodoro.
ese se dio su machingüepa
I guess he rolled over
en la gira.
at the
Allá
meeting
como en el 2006,
around 2006
en una camioneta.
in a vehicle that was
No
behind
le
him.
pasó nada. O sea,
But nothing happened to him. So there he is.
Afortunadamente, pues,
Fortunately
pero
for him, though.
se corren los
But
riesgos
you're always running risks
normales.
that are normal.
Gracias, presidente. Preguntarle por el tema del Coneval, ¿por qué fue despedido Hernández Licona?
So why
Después de
was
que había hablado del tema de la austeridad.
Hernandez Dicono, why was he fired?
Hablar de
Was
la-
it
de
because
que no había recursos en el
he
Coneval,
said that there was
pues
no
hablamos de
resources in Conoval?
de pobreza.
Especially after they talked about austerity. No, it didn't have anything to do with that. In fact, I just found out they were saying that.
No somos
We are not
injustos.
unjust.
Si lo que calienta,
So what makes us angry is that they compare us.
eso sí que calienta.
I hate that.
¿Cuáles serían los
That makes me
motivos?
hot.
Pues
in the head.
terminó su,
So it ended his term.
Me planteó la secretaria de Bienestar.
So I was informed that the Secretary of Bienestar,
Consideraba que
that she considered
era
that
tiempo
it was time
de que se dieran los cambios.
that they make the changes
Ahí
in that place.
le dije
And
sí,
I said, sure,
que lo fuese viendo,
that they go start looking at it. And so much so that is it not the case that it was regarding what he wrote,
austeridad,
because it was about austerity,
se
that this
decidió
was decided
antes de que
actually
escribiera su
before
artículo.
he wrote his article.
Estoy seguro, no sé
I'm
cuándo
sure of
escribió
it.
su artículo.
I don't know when he wrote his article. I think it was around 15 days or
Y
so.
esta decisión se
But this
tomó
decision was made
hace más de un mes.
approximately more than a month.
Y le voy a decir por qué.
And I'll tell you why.
Porque se invitó a participar
Because we invited him to participate.
a Salomón Nadmar,
To Salomon
un
Dagmar,
antropólogo,
an anthropologist
que es miembro del consejo
that is member of the council,
de Coneval.
the Conabat.
Y me mandó a decir que seguía.
And he said no, he wasn't going to come.
No quiso.
He didn't want to come.
Y
And then
creo que también le propusimos
also we proposed to
Armando
him, to Armando Batra,
Batra, y también lo mismo, que
and the same thing.
prefería quedarse
He preferred to stay
o participar si
or to
fuese
participate
necesario.
if it was only if it was necessary in the counseling. But this is a matter that is more executive. He didn't have to
El
go.
el señor Licona.
And from
que no tengo el gusto
the
de
Licono, who I have not ever met.
Entonces nos
So-
recomendaron
So they recommended to us,
nuevo
to the new person,
que es un investigador
that is an investigator
de prestigio
of prestigious,
con doctorado.
with a
Creo
doctorate.
que en la Escuela de Economía de la
I
UNAM,
believe the School of Economy of UNAM,
maestro,
he's a
académico,
master,
serio,
academic,
de
serious,
primer orden.
first quality, first rate.
Y no tengo el gusto de conocerlo.
I don't even have, I've never
Pero,
actually met him, never had the pleasure.
La secretaria de Bienestar
But the Secretary of
hizo
Well-being help.
la investigación
She
sobre-
did the investigation regarding,
es que llevaba así. Es que esto yo no lo sabía.
so I didn't know this,
Mira que
but
me echan la culpa de todo.
but they blame me about everything.
Sí trabajo todo el tiempo y todo, pero
Yes, I
no
work all the
alcanza para
time,
estar
but I still don't have enough time to know everything.
Sí.
So
El
it
que estaba
appears
llevaba
the
13
one that
años
was there 13 years before,
al frente
that was sitting in that spot.
y ha sido el único director
And
de
he's
su
been the
creación.
only director of that
Y es el
job since
instituto
its
que mide
creation. And it's the
lo de la pobreza.
institute that
Entonces, ese
measures
fue el cambio.
regarding poverty.
Entonces, el que entra es
So
un
the one that's
profesional
going in is a
académico.
professional, an
Eso fue
academic.
todo.
And that's
Pero,
all.
No es cierto
But it is not true
¿sí? que haya sido por
that it was because of
escribió
this thing he wrote regarding austerity. No.
Y por otro
no es
lado,
muy fuerte la venganza.
He says, I am not
presidente,
into
preguntarle por
vengeance.
esta baja en la expectativa de crecimiento del Fondo Monetario Internacional.
What
que se
about
redujo
that they
a
said that
0.9.
the
0.9
growth
para
of
este año. ¿Usted ya no
economic
sostiene
growth
que
has
la
down to
apuesta para los
0.9?
presupuestos para
Sí,
este año?
sí, sí, yo sigo igual.
Yes, I
Yo
still
sigo
believe
igual.
we're doing
Mire,
good.
este,
So let me make this point.
No les tengo mucha confianza.
I don't
en
have a
esos
lot of
organismos,
faith in those
con
organizations,
todo respeto.
with all respect.
Esos organismos fueron
Those
los que impusieron la
organizations are the ones that
económica neoliberal
pushed the
muchas
neoliberal
desgracias en México.
policy, which caused a lot of horrible things in Mexico. You know, those people,
De ofrecer
they-
disculpas al pueblo
they
de
should be asking Mexico for forgiveness
México y hacer
and
la
to
autocrítica.
do their
Es
self-critique.
decir,
That is to say,
lo que propusimos
what they should say, what we
resultó
proposed
fracaso
turned out to be a
y
failure,
causamos
and we caused
un grave daño
a
a los
great
mexicanos.
harm to Mexican people
Porque
because
dijimos
we
que
said
con la privatización
that with
iba a haber
privatization there would be growth
y que iba a haber
and
empleo,
that there would be employment,
y que si llovía fuerte arriba,
and that if
iba a
it rained
gotear
hard
abajo,
on top there would be a few drops for the
y
bottom,
que
and that
había que diluir al Estado
that you needed to dilute the state
y apostar al mercado
and bet on the
y
market,
que la globalidad
and that
era la panacea,
globalization was the panacea,
y que con las reformas
and that with the
estructurales,
structural reforms,
válgame Dios,
oh my goodness,
iba a llegar la felicidad.
happiness would come with it for the people.
Nada de eso ocurrió.
None of those things
Al
occurred.
contrario,
On the contrary,
¿qué fueron las reformas
what happened with the
estructurales? ¿Qué
structural
ocasionaron?
reforms? What did they cause?
Aumentos de impuestos,
Increase in taxes,
paralización de la economía.
paralyzation of economy.
¿Qué fue la reforma
So what
laboral?
was the laboral reform?
Quitarle derechos a
They
los
took
trabajadores.
rights away from the workers.
¿Qué fue la reforma
What was
educativa por
the educational
polarizar?
to polarize?
Eh, afectar
They
la dignidad de
affected
los
the
maestros,
dignity of the teachers, instructors,
dejarnos sin
to leave
médicos
us without nurses and doctors
por el afán de privatizar la educación.
because they wanted to privatize
¿Qué fue la
education.
reforma energética?
So what about the energy reform?
Caída en la producción petrolera,
It lowered
más
petroleum,
dependencia
more dependency
en la compra
in the purchase of
de combustibles,
combustibles,
importación
importation
de
of
gasolina,
gasoline. Mexico,
primero, segundo lugar en
First
compra
or
de gasolina
second
en el mundo.
place of purchasing gas in the world.
¿Qué
What
fueron las reformas estructurales?
were the structural reforms in
La
the basis
destrucción
to the destruction of the petroleum chemical
¿Qué fueron
corporation?
las propuestas del Fondo Monetario Internacional?
So
Sus
what were
recetas,
their recipes
desatar a la inseguridad, la
to,
violencia.
to cause insecurity and violence in our country?
Entonces,
So therefore,
ahí,
so why are they sitting there
este,
giving opinions.
con todo respeto.
With all respect,
No vamos nosotros a
we're
renunciar a
not
los organismos.
going to be listening to those organisms. Oh my goodness. What is going on?
Somos parte
We form part
económico
of the economic,
del sistema
of the
financiero
system
mundial.
of world
Eso
finance.
no quiere decir
But that doesn't mean
que
that
no sepamos
we don't know
lo que han significado sus políticas.
what their politics have meant to us. Now
Ellos
they are
ya no van
not
a
going
decidir
to
sobre la
decide
agenda de México.
regarding the agenda of Mexico.
Eso se terminó ya.
That has ended.
Bueno, pero ya el 2%
But
es
what
muy
about
difícil que se
2%?
alcance en
Won't
este
that be
sabemos.
difficult? No, we don't know.
No sabemos, vamos a esperar resultados.
Because we're going to wait for the results.
Es que
It's
antes
that before
de que se tengan datos,
they have the data,
se pronostica.
they're predicting.
Vamos a esperarnos.
So let's wait.
Además,
And
una
besides
vez
that,
les adelanto,
I'm letting you know in advance.
y los convoco
And I'm
a los del Fondo Monetario Internacional,
letting the people from the monetary fund that's international, these
tecnócratas,
experts, these technocrats,
nostálgicos
these
del
nostalgics
neoliberalismo,
for neoliberalism,
a que veamos si es lo
that
mismo
would, let's see if it's the same thing
crecimiento que
for
desarrollo.
growth to development.
Porque nosotros ya no
Because
vamos
now we're not going
a
to
utilizar
utilize only
como parámetro
as a parameter
el crecimiento,
the growth,
porque crecimiento
because
es
growth just means
que se genere riqueza,
that they generate riches.
pero
But
puede ser
it can be
que
said
ese
that
crecimiento
that growth
signifique
means
solo
only
acumulación de riqueza
accumulation of riches
en unos cuantos.
in a few.
Entonces
And so therefore,
hay que ver
we need to
los
look
tecnócratas
at those technocrats,
un poco progres,
see if there's a little progress,
más progresistas,
that are more progressive, they say,
crecimiento
that growth is
incluyente,
inclusive. No,
es desarrollo.
it's development.
tendrían que adicionar.
So what about it, that additionally? Salary would need to be included.
O sea, ingresos.
Increase in
¿Cómo
salary.
están los salarios?
So how are the salaries?
Ese es
They've grown.
indicador.
That's an
¿Cómo
indicator.
están ingresos?
So how are the incomes?
Esto es capacidad de compra.
The ability to buying capacity. Buying capacity.
Empleo,
Employment.
distribución de riqueza,
Distribution of wealth.
acceso a la educación,
Access
La
to
salud.
education and health.
a la vivienda.
Of
La cultura.
homes, cultures.
Eso es, porque
That's what it is.
fíjense,
Imagine
llegamos a ser
We-
el periodo neoliberal
we
el
came
cuarto
to,
país del mundo
in the world, we became the fourth country with most multimillionaires.
o sea, nada más
So not only
nos ganaba
were we
Estados
making,
Unidos,
United States was the only one that was bigger, and
luego de las privatizaciones
Japan and
cuarto
Germany.
lugar
We were fourth
en el
place
mundo
in the world
en multimillonarios.
with multimillionaires.
Pues eso es crecimiento.
So that's growth, sure.
Y
And
en ese mismo
in that
periodo
same period,
fue en el que se
it was
presentó
when we had
la mayor
presented
desigualdad
the
que
most
se haya tenido
inequality that has
en
ever
toda la historia
happened
de
in the
México.
whole history of Mexico.
Y
And
los datos
the data
son del Banco Mundial.
are from the World Bank.
Entonces,
So therefore,
no es lo mismo
It's not the same thing,
crecimiento que desarrollo. Por
growth
eso
and development.
es una
But that's just
discusión importante
an important
debate.
discussion, a debate
para,
for,
como ellos mismos dicen,
as they say,
ir
to go
hablando del nuevo
be
paradigma.
talking about the new paradigm.
Ya no se pueden utilizar.
You can no longer utilize the same
No
parameters.
sirven,
They are no good.
no funcionan.
They don't work.
Por eso, bueno, les decía yo en el caso de las cifras de empleo
So I used to say regarding the matters of jobs,
del Seguro Social,
Social Security,
pues, si no se toma en cuenta
if you don't take into account
200,000 sembradores, ¿por
that
qué no
there's
están?
200
Bueno, porque no es un trabajo formal,
planters,
¿no?
Pero son
because that's
empleos.
but it's a job. It's not maybe not a formal
Sí, por
work,
eso,
but it's a
pero la
job.
medición es
But
sobre
the
empleo,
measure is regarding
no
jobs,
de
not
seguridad
regarding
social.
like what their social
Bueno,
level is.
los jóvenes
Okay, so let's say the youth,
pagan una cuota
they pay a
para
quota,
empleo y no están.
pay for
Digo, para,
job,
para la seguridad.
for security.
¿Sí?
Regarding development,
El parámetro más usado a nivel
or the
internacional es el índice de
parameter
desarrollo humano.
that is most
La
used,
ONU hace un listado. México está en el
it's
lugar 74.
that
Estamos
we're in
por
the
debajo de Cuba, que es
74,
74,
under
por debajo de
Cuba,
Costa Rica, de
and
Chile,
below Costa
Uruguay,
Rica, Chile,
Argentina.
Uruguay, and Argentina,
Dentro de
and
lo que se
Argentina.
considera desarrollo humano alto, es decir, una
And
clasificación parecida a lo que antes se
so
consideraba
they-
el primer mundo.
So they're
México, como
considering,
decía, está en el lugar
they're saying
74
we're on number
con
74
una
on the
calificación
level,
de
with a
0.774.
qualification of
De llegar a
0.774.
0.8 podemos
To
llegar
gain
a
to
este
8, we
desarrollo
would be
humano alto, lo que
up on the
insisto,
high
lo que se
level.
llama el primer mundo. ¿Usted cree que con sus
What do you
medidas
think that with
México
your
podría
measures,
llegar a estos niveles? Ya
we
que
could
estamos
get to
hablando de
those levels
diferencia
since
entre
we're talking
crecimiento y
about
Claro que sí.
development? Of
Claro.
course.
dentro de su sexenio?
Sí, no.
Within this 6 years,
Vamos
he says, oh yes,
a
we're going to
atender el bienestar como
attend to
nunca.
the well-being as never before. It's already been in place.
Va a significar mejores condiciones de vida y mejores
It will
condiciones de
mean
trabajo.
better conditions for life and work.
Vamos a sacar de la pobreza a
We're going to
millones de
take
mexicanos.
millions out of
Ese es
poverty.
el objetivo principal.
Pero para
It's
eso
the
sí tendríamos
primary
que crecer a
objective.
una cifra de 4%,
Es que no,
como usted lo dijo.
siempre y cuando ese crecimiento implique
So that growth
distribución
needs
del ingreso,
to be
¿sí?
the
Implique
resolution
también
of income.
desarrollo
And it also
sustentable.
needs to be indicate
Es decir, cuidar el medio
substantial,
ambiente. No es crecer
that,
por crecer.
that it's not just growing for growing, but to affect the environment. All these things that we're changing,
Pero de que la
but
gente
that the people
va a tener más ingresos,
are going to have
ya
more
tiene
income.
ahora.
They already have more income
Ya, ahora.
as of now.
Les voy a poner un ejemplo.
I can give you an example.
No todos tenían,
Not everybody had pensions,
y los que tenían la
and the
pensión
ones that did,
recibían
they would have
1,160
1,160
bimestral. Ahora
every
es
2 months.
550.
Now it's
Imagínense, todos los
2,550.
adultos mayores, porque ya
But if all the adults, older adults,
llevamos
I
más del
think
90%.
we have 90% right now,
8 millones.
8 million.
Imagínense una casa humilde
Imagine a house that's humble,
en donde hay
where there's
dos adultos
Two,
mayores, dos
adults.
ancianos respetables,
elderly, 2 elderly adults,
esposos.
a husband and wife, say.
Les está llegando
Now they're getting,
ahora
about 11,000, right?
5,000 pesos.
Oh, 5,000 each.
Son sus alimentos.
So that's for,
Eso no lo recibían.
they weren't getting that before. That's enough for their
Y estoy
food and their
hablando de 8
sustenance.
millones.
I'm talking about 8 million people
Todos
that are all getting
los adultos
that
mayores.
amount.
A ver,
So
¿sucedía eso
imagine,
en el sexenio
would that
anterior?
happen in the previous 6 years?
O en los
Or
otros sexenios.
or the previous 6-year terms.
¿Qué decían?
So you know what they
Sobre
used to say regarding that?
Que era populismo,
That it was populism,
paternalismo.
paternalism.
Yo recuerdo que cuando se
I
inició ese
remember
programa
that
aquí en
when
la
they
Ciudad de
used to
México,
say in that program in Mexico,
iniciamos
they used to say
en el 2000,
in the year 2000,
¿saben qué declaró Fox?
you know what Fox declared?
Que eso era populismo,
That it
paternalismo.
was a paternalism or populism, that it was better
Poner a trabajar.
to put them to work for these elderly.
Eso es su mentalidad.
That's
Así son
the
los
mind,
conservadores.
how his mind works.
Es una mentalidad,
That's a mentality
pensamiento porfirista.
that's porphyrism.
Como si el adulto
As
mayor
if though
hubiese trabajado toda la vida y mereciera vivir con un poco
the
de orgullo.
elderly hadn't worked all their life and now they needed to have a little bit of rest in their final years.
Esto se aplica en Europa
This is applied in Europe
desde los años posteriores a la Segunda Guerra Mundial. Es lo que se llama estado de bienestar.
that
Y
is
no
a state of
así.
well-being, and not like that.
Nosotros decimos 2.550.
We say
En Europa,
2,550 in Europe,
varios países,
in many countries.
65 años,
As they get to 65 years old,
la pensión
the pension
en pesos mexicanos
in Mexican pesos
es de
would be the
alrededor de 12
equivalent,
de 15,000 pesos.
it's about 12 to 15,000
En general,
in general,
universal.
universally.
Entonces, ¿por qué no copiaron
So
eso?
why didn't they copy that?
¿Por qué? Lo que copiaron fue lo
Why
que
they
les ordenó el
copied
fondo.
What they were ordered by the funds.
Entonces,
So,
claro
so of course,
que están mejorando las cosas.
things are getting better.
Claro
Of
que
course,
vamos
we're
a combatir la pobreza.
combating
Y nos vamos
poverty,
a sentir todos
and
muy
we're all going to feel
satisfechos.
very satisfied.
Es que hay una especie de enajenación
There's a species of enagenization.
pensando
It's to be thinking
que nada más
that
nosotros
only
nos merecemos
we are deserving to live well,
y nos olvidamos de los
and
demás.
we forget about
Entonces,
others.
¿para qué vamos?
So
a los
what do we
templos?
go to the
¿Para qué
churches
vamos a
for,
la
our
iglesia
temples?
los domingos?
What do we go there for on Sundays?
O sea, ¿qué? Vamos a estar confesando y comulgando.
So what are you confessing and
Olvidamos los mandamientos.
convincing if you forget the commandments?
¿En qué se sustentan
So what do you
las doctrinas
substantiate
cristianas? Y
your Christian values? And inclusively,
las
or
doctrinas de todas las
the
religiones.
doctrine of all religions
Pensamiento
and the
humanista
thinking of
de
humanists,
libres pensadores.
of free thinkers,
¿Qué no es
that it is not
el amor al
the
prójimo?
love, isn't it the love of your fellow man that's most important?
Entonces,
So therefore,
qué?
why
hipocresía,
this hypocrisy,
populismo,
this
paternalismo,
populism,
lo que se
paternalism,
le da a la gente
what they
humilde?
give to the poor
¿Y
people?
cuánto se robaban?
And how much were they stealing?
¿Cuánto dejaban de pagar de impuestos los de
How
arriba?
much did they
¿Eso no es
forgive
robo?
the taxes for the ones on top? Isn't that
¿Eso
stealing?
no es populismo?
Isn't that populism?
¿Eso no es paternalismo?
Isn't that
Cuando ellos
paternalism?
eran los hijos predilectos
They
del
were the
régimen.
special children of the regimen, the owners of Mexico.
Entonces eso se termina.
So that
Entonces,
ends,
pueden decir
and now they can
todo
say
lo que quieran.
anything they want.
Nosotros
But we
estamos
are
haciendo lo que nos corresponde,
going to do
trabajando
what
todos los días
is
por el
corresponds to
bienestar
us,
del
work
pueblo.
every
No es
every
un
day
asunto fácil,
for the people. And it's not an easy matter,
con todos
because
los
even
recursos
now, with
económicos
all
que
the
tiene el país,
resources that our
hasta
country
eso
has, because even that,
tiene mucha,
it still has
tiene
a
muchas
lot
riquezas
of
México.
riches in
No
Mexico.
terminaron de saquearlo.
They didn't finish stealing
El
everything,
propósito era
but the purpose was to
acabar con todo.
finish with everything, to leave empty.
No tienen llenadera.
They have no fill.
No pudieron.
They couldn't.
Y otra cosa que es
And another thing that is very important,
creo más
I
es en la
always
cultura,
believe a lot, is in culture
o en las culturas de nuestro pueblo.
of our people.
Eso es
That is
fundamental
fundamental
para sacar adelante el país.
to take the people out
poner
of
orden
forward and to put
en
order
el caos. Esa es la
in
política.
order to chaos. That's our
Hacer un buen
politics,
gobierno.
to do a good government.
Y yo estoy seguro que se van a seguir obteniendo
And I
buenos
know
resultados.
they're going to
Y
keep
vamos a
being
tener
opposing.
diferencias y va a haber
And we're going to
oposición.
have oppositions and differences.
Y no importa.
And it's not
Y no nos deben
important.
de preocupar.
And it should not
Al
preoccupy
contrario,
us.
eso
On the
demuestra que es
contrary,
una
that
sociedad
demonstrates that
viva,
it's a
democrática.
live democratic
Cuando no hay una transformación,
people.
¿qué pasa?
If there's no
¿Qué sucedió?
democracy, what happens?
En
What
3
happened
siglos de dominación
in
colonial. ¿Cómo era la
three
ley?
signals, three centuries of dominion from other people?
No se movía nada.
Nothing would move.
¿Se acuerdan ustedes de algún
You
hecho
recall of any activity that was important
que haya ocurrido
that occurred
en 3 siglos de dominación colonial?
in three centuries of dominion of the colonies?
Ah, viene la independencia,
And then independence comes,
una época
and that was
de movilidad
a mobility time,
cultural,
cultural
la reformación de
reaffirmation
nuestra nacionalidad.
of our nation, nationalism.
La reforma,
And the reform,
otro movimiento
another movement,
importantísimo. Hablábamos
very
la vez
important.
pasada de que el mejor periodismo
It's the
de
best
toda la historia
newspapers
se dio en la
was
época de la
during the
República restaurada. En 10
when they
años,
restored
los
the
mejores
republic,
escritores, los más inteligentes,
the most intelligent,
los más comprometidos, los más patriotas.
the most
se habían tenido
patriotic
en toda la historia.
that have been in
La
history.
revolución,
The revolution
miren aquí el palacio,
here in the
el
palace,
pluralismo, ¿de dónde surge? Por la revolución,
globalism came from the revolution
la decadencia.
and then the decadence.
¿Qué estamos viviendo ahora?
So now what are
Momento
we
de
living now?
transformación.
A new
Entonces sí van a
transformation.
haber cambios y
Yes, there's going to be changes.
Diferencias,
Changes, differences,
pluralidad,
plural,
debate. Y eso es muy bueno,
debate,
mucho, muy bueno. Una
and
más.
this is very good. One more question.
Le doy las gracias, presidente, de la región lagunera. No sé si me recuerda, desde 2007, defendiendo aquí de tanta tranza en el país aquí al pueblo.
He's been working defending the country since 2007, defending against all this corruption.
Batallamos durante muchos años,
And we
metiendo
struggled many years
solicitudes, que las
putting in
solicitudes eran para los
applications
gobernantes de
that
las
were for
radios,
the governors, for
y
the
ahorita
radios.
que, pues,
And
ya
now,
después de trabajar el proyecto,
after working that project,
nosotros en la laguna estuvimos leyendo los proyectos,
we read the projects of all the candidates.
estudiamos todo,
And we studied you, all your projects in the water and many matters. So I have two questions, as someone said here. All
no
easy,
difíciles.
not hard ones.
Una,
One,
ya tenemos allá un amparo que mete una persona ambientalista, entre comillas, contra la decisión de cancelar a mano alzada lo del Metrobús Laguna. Yo soy de Torreón, me ha ido muy bien, he ido a Estados Unidos también huyendo de las persecuciones también.
so he had to run from persecution to the
Se
U.S.
subieron al carro de la
And they got into his car and they,
nosotros como periodistas,
and
yo
as
soy periodista,
a newspaperman,
contador público,
I am a public
me
accountant,
enorgullece decírselo,
and I can say that
Belisario
proud.
Domínguez, que ayer no lo mencionó, porque a él
He-
hizo un periódico cuando la
he made
prensa
a
de aquel entonces
newspaper
no escribía nada
and he used to write when nobody else was writing
de los gobiernos.
from the
Y
government.
le agradezco que nos dé la
And I
oportunidad a
am
la nación
grateful
y al
that
mundo
you give the opportunity to the nation and to
de
us
estar con usted preguntando,
to be with you,
que
asking you,
nosotros confiamos.
because we're confident in the project, not in the person.
Entonces le traigo dos preguntas.
So I have
Una,
two questions. One,
Hay un
Is there-
ambientalista que usó a una asociación civil y
There
se
was
amparó a nivel
someone
federal en contra de la decisión de los laguneros que estamos cansados de tanta pinche tranza.
They're very
Nos han
tired.
olvidado los gobernadores de Durango y de
governors-
Coahuila durante muchos años. Tenemos empresas que vienen con ustedes, usted lo recibió aquí en el Palacio,
So
que
we
van a
people
invertir,
from
pero
that
es más
are going to
el
be
daño que hacen ambiental,
investing.
como Lala, que nos dejó sin agua.
Somebody left them without water for a long
decenios,
time,
y hay unos planes muy buenos, como el
and
plan MEVA,
decades, and there's
agua
new
para la
plans,
laguna, que es muy
water
fácil
for
de
the
hacer,
lake, that
pero
it's
es
very
malo que se
simple to
robaban,
do,
que hacer
especially
las
what they were,
soluciones. La laguna puede ser un Edén. Tenemos el
they
plan
were
MEVA
stealing their
de traer
water.
agua por gravedad de la sierra. de
They
la
could
Sierra
bring
Madre
it from the
Occidental.
Sierra,
Usted conoció a don
and
Mario
you-
Enrique Vázquez Ávila,
you met
¿verdad? Conoció a
uh,
mucha gente en la laguna.
um,
Nosotros seguimos
some guy named
trabajando en el
Davila,
proyecto, no nos
and we
interesan
worked
los
on that
puestos,
project.
no somos ambiciosos,
We're not ambitious,
pero están fallando mucha
but they're
gente que
failing
estudió
us.
con usted.
And
Los
these
ciudadanos
people
debemos
are
ir,
turning to you,
debemos
and
de
we
hacer
need to
investigación, como usted dice. Aquí
investigate,
traigo muchas
like you said,
investigaciones de
and I
fraudes,
have lots of
de
investigations
fraudes
here,
en la calidad del agua.
frauds in the quality of water.
¿Te contesto eso?
Can I
Sí,
answer
y
that
luego
first?
ya la otra pregunta.
And then the next one.
Deje terminar, porque
Sí.
esto está...
And
¿A
so
usted
let
le
me
gusta
finish.
que le digan los
You
reporteros
like us,
con hechos,
the reporters, to tell you
con
with acts,
investigaciones?
with
Tenemos
investigations.
mucha investigación de 10 años.
And I've been investigating for 10 years
Los fraudes en el tema del
regarding the
agua.
frauds,
Al Fondo Metropolitano
regarding water.
han agarrado dinero los gobiernos
And the
y el
governments,
único cierto de Metropolitano es que se es que
the
se
Metropolitan
reparten
have been
50% Durango
giving
y
it-
50% Coahuila.
Coahuila
Pero no hay
and
ninguna
Durango
decisión
have been
metropolitana.
dividing the money for
El anterior gobernador
themselves.
Rubén Moreira
So
les
the
impuso el
governors
Metrobús, que está sin
imposed
pies
the
ni
Metro
cabeza.
bus on them.
Una obra mal hecha, mal
It's a
ejecutada,
bad job
y
that
no-
was poorly
y no que se lo
executed.
diga yo,
And
tienen
not
que
that
hacer
I'm
una
saying it.
auditoría
All you
de-
need to
de
do is
análisis
do
sobre esa obra,
an
porque ya
audit,
subió casi ya lo doble a lo que
because
iban
now
a
it's
presupuestar, como siempre hacían
twice,
los neoliberales,
like they've
los
always
conservadores.
done, the
Entonces,
neoliberals.
eh,
So therefore,
sobre el amparo que presentó una persona que
they
nosotros conocemos
requested
allá,
a
que se
stay,
dice ambientalista, y no digo su nombre,
and I'm not
somos
saying
amigos
his
porque lo
name,
conozco de muchos años y a su familia, pero
because-
me da coraje
but I'm
que ahora se
angry
ampare también en la laguna
that
con
he's now
decisiones
in
para-
that
para retrasar
he's
todo lo
making
que usted
decisions to
muy bien está
slow
haciendo
down the
aquí por la
production
República.
for
Lo
the
de
good work
la
that you're doing for the
cancelación del
Republic.
aeropuerto, lo apoyamos, el pueblo. El Tren Maya lo vamos a apoyar.
So we're supporting the
Y
airport
otras
and the
más
Maya train
de sus propuestas.
and
El
other
bienestar está
matters that you've
los delegados,
proposed.
allá en la laguna,
And
en
regarding the
Durango y en
lake
Coahuila.
in
Ese
Durango
fue
and
conmigo,
Coahuila,
para que hagan una auditoría
I'm letting you know so
sobre
they can do
el
an
trabajo
audit
de los delegados,
and
que no
of
se
the
den
work of the
cuenta
delegates,
por ayuda en campaña
because
y
they're
porque venían
spending
de
their
otros
money
partidos
on
y
their
ahora con Morena.
campaigns,
Y ahora, pero, ¿por qué?
So
Porque
why?
nosotros nunca hemos estado
because we
trabajando
haven't been working
por un puesto, por nada. Hemos
for a
puesto
job.
hasta
We've
nuestra vida en
been,
riesgo.
we've put our lives at risk for the Republic.
Muy bien, mira.
Okay. So
Yo celebro que tengamos
I
estos
celebrate
diálogos,
that we have these
porque
dialogues
me ayuda mucho
because it helps me a
a
lot
informar
to inform
a la gente
the people
en general
in general
y a las regiones.
and to the
En
regions.
este caso es la laguna.
In this case, it's regarding the lake.
¿Qué sostengo?
So what do I sustain?
La gente
That
en
people
Gómez
in Gomez
Palacio no
Palacio,
aceptó
they did not accept
lo del Metrobús.
regarding the Metrobus.
No lo acepta.
They don't accept it,
La mayoría.
the majority of them.
Y sea mano alzada, o
And
sea,
whether it be a
en una,
raised hand or
Lo cierto
papers, the truth
es
is
que la gente no
the
quiere
people do not want it,
esa obra.
that work.
Les comento
And I comment
que yo había
that I had
autorizado
authorized
que se realizara la obra,
that they realized that
porque
work
tiene una lógica.
because it had some logic.
Es un Metrobús
It's a Metrobus
en Torreón
in Torreon that arrives at
a límite
to the limit
de
of
Torreón
Torreón
y Gómez Palacio.
and Gómez
Torreón,
Palacio.
Coahuila, Gómez Palacio.
Torreón.
Entonces, lo que se pedía,
So what they were asking,
lo que se solicitaba
or
era
what they
continuar
solicited, was to continue
del límite de Torreón
from the limit of
hacia
Torreón
Gómez Palacio y Lerdo.
to go all the way to Lerdo, from Gómez Palacio to Lerdo.
Una obra, como dice el compañero,
A work
aprobada
that was
en el
approved
primer tramo
in the first
de
part,
Torreón,
of
todavía no
Torreón.
terminada,
but they hadn't finished it,
pero ya aprobada.
but
Sí.
it was already approved.
Entonces,
So therefore,
hasta le pedía al de inversiones de Hacienda que
I
me
even
mandara
asked
un día
Hacienda
antes
Investments
el oficio de
for the
autorización
official
para
authorization
poderlo decir,
in order that I
ya.
could say it.
para llevar a cabo la obra.
But now
Y me
the
mandó,
job's almost done. And he sent me
el oficio,
the job.
ya me lo guardé, llego
And so I saved it,
al acta,
the
a
paperwork.
Gómez,
So I
una
take
gran
that.
protesta
There was this big
general
protest in general
en contra
against
del Metrobús.
the Metrobus.
Y uno sabe cuando
And one
es
knows
una
when
protesta
there's a
montada,
protest that is planned
manipulada,
or manipulated,
y cuando
and when it is,
se trata de una
it means
protesta
that it's
espontánea,
a spontaneous protest,
auténtica,
authentic,
o en lo general,
or in general,
aunque no dejan de
even
haber intereses
if
particulares.
there might be some private interests or
Así,
particular. But
todos
in
en
that
contra.
way, everybody seemed to be against it.
Entonces, pues lo que hago es que pregunto,
So I asked,
eso no les gusta.
you don't like this? They don't like to talk about it
Imponer las cosas. Yo no
because
puedo.
it's to impose things. I can't impose nothing on the people.
Repito,
So I repeat
decía Juárez,
what Juarez used to say, by force, nothing.
todo por la razón y el
Everything needs to be done with reason
Entonces
and by
pregunto,
the right
derecho.
way.
Unánime, en
So
contra.
everybody was unanimously
Entonces
against
les
it.
planteo, a ver,
So I asked,
¿y en qué usamos los fondos?
so what do we use the funds on?
Entonces, hay un hospital que está por
So
terminarse
there's a hospital that was almost
y
done,
la necesidad de la laguna,
and the need for the lake,
la principal necesidad.
principal necessity was the water.
Entonces la gente
So the people
dice, agua,
said water,
pues va a ser agua,
so then it will be water.
va a ser agua.
So it will be water.
Y voy
And I will
a argumentar,
argument,
a profundizar sobre el
I
tema.
will make profound information about that matter.
Tienen un problema serio en la laguna
They have a serious problem in the
de
lake.
sobreexplotación de los
Of-
acuíferos.
They've exploited the
Entonces-
aqueducts
Como ya se está perforando
because they're perforating
muy profundo,
too deeply.
hay contaminación
There's contamination.
y en algunos casos se
And
hace
in some cases,
Arsénico, la leche.
there's
El agua.
arsenic in the water
por la sobreexplotación.
due to
Es
the
que,
exploitation,
la
overexploitation.
alfalfa
The
requiere
alfalfa
mucha agua.
requires a lot of water.
Ya no quiero hablar más de eso.
And let's not talk
Tampoco
more
se
about
trata
that. But it's
de
not about
destruir
destruction
una, actividad productiva.
of
Se
a
trata ya de
productive
aceptar
activity, but it's to accept
de que debemos de
that we need
optar
to
por el
opt
desarrollo sustentable y que
for
lo
the
principal
development
es la
of
salud del
substantial
pueblo.
because the most important thing is the health of the
Les voy a
people.
dar un dato.
So I'm going to give you a piece of data.
¿Saben qué han hecho
Do you know what they've done?
los gobernantes?
The governors,
Han puesto
they put
plantas
buildings
para
in order to, or
purificar
plants,
el agua,
to purify the
para
water,
quitarle el arsénico.
to remove the arsenic,
Plantas tratadoras.
treatment plants.
Eso no puede ser.
That cannot be.
La gente merece
The people deserve
tener la seguridad
to have the security,
absoluta
absolute security,
de que está tomando
that they are drinking
un agua
a water
sana, pura.
that is healthy and pure.
Ya cuando
And
se
now,
ponen
when
plantas
you
de tratamiento,
put treatment plants, water treatment plants,
el arsénico,
for the arsenic,
ya lo que se está demostrando
then
es
what
de
you're
que hay un
demonstrating is that there's a problem
problema grave.
that's grave.
Entonces, no es quedarnos nada más en el
It's not
planteamiento del
that we
problema.
are not just
No
going to
es
stay in the
condenar
development of the plan, and it's
a
not
los
to condemn
productores,
the
porque
projectors
se generan empleos,
because
porque
they
es bienestar
generate jobs
también.
and well-being as well. It's that
Ir llevando a cabo una
you have to
reconversión, reconvertir la actividad
to change the activity that is productive
para que
in
se
order that
consuma
you can
para esas
consume,
actividades
for
productivas,
those productive
menos
activities,
agua,
less water,
que se cuiden los acuíferos,
that you protect the aqueducts,
que no se siga afectando
that you don't continue
las
to
reservas de Cuatro Ciénegas,
affect the
donde nació
areas where
Venustiano Carranza.
Venustiano Carranza was
Son
born.
lagunas
It's the lakes,
naturales bellísimas
natural, beautiful lakes,
y que están perdiendo también volumen
and
de
that
agua
are also losing the volume of water
por lo mismo.
for the same reason.
Entonces,
So therefore,
estamos llegando a un acuerdo.
we're coming to an agreement,
Decía aquí el compañero
as this partner used to say, that we had a meeting
que impulsan
for those that
estas
are
actividades
propelling these productive activities.
no es imponer nada, es
It's not
convencer
to impose anything, it's to convince them.
y se va a llegar a un
And
acuerdo.
we will come to an agreement.
¿Qué vamos a hacer?
What are we going to do?
¿Cuál es mi compromiso?
What is my compromise or commitment?
De que vamos,
That we will,
y ya estamos trabajando
and we are now working on
en el
it,
proyecto
on the
para
project,
llevar agua
to take water,
a Torreón,
Torreón,
y a
and
Lerdo,
Gomez,
a la laguna.
and Lerdo, to the lake.
Y estamos viendo si lo
And
podemos
we're also
hacer
trying to see if we can do it
con un acueducto
with an aqueduct
de la presa Zarco,
from the lake of
que
Sarco,
está
that is
como a 50,
about
60 kilómetros.
50
Vamos a invertir
to 60
en eso
kilometers. We're going to invest in
para
that
llevar el agua
in order to take
en
water
un acueducto
in an aqueduct,
y que se tenga lo
and that it
primero,
be the first
agua
thing
de calidad.
that's quality water for the people.
Entonces,
So therefore,
sin
without
afectar la actividad
affecting the productive
estamos
activity,
también,
we are also
eh,
working on
promoviendo
promoting
de que se
that
desarrollen cuencas
they
lecheras
develop
en el sur-sureste, donde hay agua.
milk, where they have milk in the
Imagínense cuánta
south-southeast.
agua hay
Imagine how much water there is in the
en
Papalapa,
Grijalba,
in the Grijalba,
en el Usumacinta.
in the
Y
Osumacinta,
además ya hay
and even there is
ganado
even cattle
adaptado
that has adapted
trópico
to the tropics
con capacidad
with
para
capacity
producir leche.
to produce milk.
Entonces,
So
con
therefore,
los mismos
with the
empresarios de la
same
laguna,
businessmen of the lake,
estamos llevando a cabo estas
we are
acciones de
taking
manera
forth these
conjunta.
actions in a
Pero por
conjunction.
encima de todo
But above all,
está la salud.
we have health matters.
Y esto también
And this also
es algo
is
que
something
debe de
that
subrayarse.
needs to be
Como el gobierno ya no
become
está al
most
servicio
important, because the government is no longer in the service of any created
sino al
interest group,
servicio del pueblo.
but the service of the people.
Puede actuar con libertad.
They can act with liberty,
Antes,
whereas before,
los grupos de
the
intereses
groups
creados
of created interests,
financiaban las
they used to
campañas.
finance the campaigns.
Y entonces llegaba
And
el
so
nuevo
therefore,
presidente
the new president would come in
y no podía hacer nada.
and he couldn't do anything.
Al contrario,
On the contrary,
les tenía que dar.
he would have to give them.
Ya no puedo hablar más.
But I can't talk more about that.
Ya es cosa de que ustedes
It's
terminen
something you
de
guys
hacer
should
investigación. Esto
do
es
your
nada más el
investigation.
prólogo. Bueno, ahí
Okay,
nos vemos mañana.
we'll see you
Adiós,
tomorrow.
adiós.
Thank you. Goodbye, goodbye. All right. Wow, you know, this was really impressive. I am very impressed with this whole thing here. I'm going to close this because I want to stay on here and let you know that I watched this before I taped it. I was setting up my audio, and man, there was so much meat to this recording of his. In the morning, as I heard it, I was thinking, that's it. That's what we weren't getting. The fact that the, you know, they keep measuring the economic growth by how rich the rich people are getting. And that's how they're measuring it. Wow, you know, it's all good. We're making millions. But everybody else was getting poorer. And they were having worse conditions. Everything else was worse. There was more violence, insecurity, everything during that period that they were doing so good, that we were making all these multimillionaires that were benefiting from the loss of the riches of Mexico were going to private interests. And yes, fourth in the nation now of the most millionaires. That really lets you know what really is at hand when these people are saying, oh, you know, they're not doing good. But they're not taking into account the fact that now we have all these jobs, all these youth that are no longer on the streets, education, money for the elderly. And can you imagine Fox saying, let's put the elderly to work after they've worked all their life? What the heck? Can you imagine? Let's tell him to go back to work. Now that he's retired from the presidency and he's wanting his money. What happened to all the money he took? Did he save any of it? Any of that money he stole from the people? It's just unbelievable to me that they would even consider that. That is horrible. I just can't imagine that that anyone would even think that. But you know, I am so happy with this program because true, we need to measure the growth of a country by how well now, you know, the people are earning better. Now people can have jobs. Now people make more, you know, an hour. He's created so many jobs, and there's so many more being created. Education, you know, now the education, which is a part of the Constitution, that was one of the rights, was being taken away and privatized. Can you imagine? I mean, that was supposed to be for free. We didn't even know that. They just sold it to us. They sold us a bill of goods that was bull. And I'm sorry to say it that way, but it's just, I can't believe how many people were in poverty, or the doctors we didn't get because they closed the ability for the people that qualified, that had really good scores on their exams. And they said, no, we're only taking 1,000 this year. So everybody else that did so well on the exams, that could have been doctors and nurses and educators and all these higher level jobs, that we could have had more of these. And instead they closed the education off. And not only did they not make it available, you know, it wasn't for free, but it wasn't even available to them in any way. They just didn't have the colleges. They closed it up. They basically decided who would have a life and who wouldn't. Who were the elite going to be? Who were the ones that were going to be allowed to get an education? Even if they were able to do somehow get the money together to do the primary education, were they going to be able to, continue? So maybe they did the prerequisites, and then they weren't allowed in the colleges. These very I'm going to say ambitious because it's ambitious to go to college. I mean, you're working towards your goals. You want to do something with your life. And they would cut them off at the knees and say, no, you can't go. We're only letting these people go. Because they closed up the opportunities. They closed up the colleges. I just wish that the American people knew more about this and understood what it is that AMLO is doing. And that's why I'm translating it, because I want you guys to know what is possible when a president or a high-level official, or if it's not a president, whatever, deciding factors or people are placed in power. If the powers that be want it, they can make it good for everyone. But obviously, all they care about is their pocket. And I know that in my when my kids were going to school, they would tell me of the things they were taking away. Like, no, we don't have art classes anymore. No, we don't have music classes anymore. They were taking away everything that was beautiful for the children to have a love for school and education. They took that all away because they were saving money so they can put more money in their pockets. The politicians. The politicians are the ones who did this to the American people. And the politicians are the ones that did it to Mexico and everybody else. And, there's so much more. Like there was some kind of black hand involved in doing this to all the Central American countries. They didn't do the neoliberal thing just to Mexico. They did it to all those countries that are now coming to the U.S. Or trying, all these immigrants, that was done to them by the neoliberals. And who are the neoliberals? Who set that up? I mean, when I was researching that, there's this political authority, Nobel Peace Prize winner Jalife, who was telling people what it was that caused it, who was behind it. And look it up, you guys. It's got to do with something called Operation Condor. And it was a plan that was going to make the Latin American countries subservient to somebody. Someone else was going to get rich. They were going to loan the money to the Latin American countries. And then when they paid back, they were only paying the interest. They would never be able to pay it off. So then what did they do? They took their riches from their country. They wound up, they're like, they've got them in such a state of, there's so much to know. There's so much to know. Peru, they've done it to Peru. There's all the countries down there, Nicaragua, San Salvador, all of them. They've all been hit by this politics. And it's about people getting rich and the poor getting poorer, and then stealing all the wealth, and then making the countries subservient to someone. And I think it was Kissinger and Margaret Thatcher that worked on this plan. I mean, look it up. I haven't looked too deeply into it, but the more that is coming to light, the more I'm curious. What is it? What is it that they're trying to hide from us? Why that when somebody tries to mention Jalife tried to mention this stuff, they blocked him for life on Twitter. Can you imagine that? They blocked Jalife for life on Twitter because he was talking about who these rich people are that are impoverishing all these nations. Anyway, I hope I don't get myself in trouble, but I want people to know. And if I turn up dead, you know, it's probably because of this little thing here. Or who knows, I might get banned from YouTube too. And Facebook and everywhere that this might go. I have it on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. It's all simultaneously going through the air right now. So I hope I don't piss the wrong people off, because that could be dangerous. But you know, I've got to tell, and that's how I see it. Okay, you guys, goodbye, and please like and subscribe. I'm going to be working with other YouTubers. I've been working with translating other YouTubers' material, and I've also done a video with Inti News, Wilmer Dominguez Ramar, and I plan to be doing another collaboration with hopefully all the women of YouTube. I'm going to put a call out to them. We need to get together because we bring a certain element of the feminine, you know, the soft side of life. But anyway, so if you want to know about this, please subscribe to my channel. And I like to translate and let the people know what's going on. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.